Superior.
Hey, welcome back to the Bright Side, issue number 300.
We ought to wait. Right. Okay, now you told me. Right. Okay.
For those that don't know, John got that one. It's been a long time since we've said that. So, hey, everybody, welcome to the Bright Side Home Theater Podcast. The Home Theater Podcast, it's all about the experiences, the sights,
the scenes.
Sounds-ish.
There we go. And we've got everything messed up here. I mean, look, we're all in different spots. We're all in the wrong places. Oh, hey, let's...
I've got hair. Look, it's there. So you can see it.
Yeah.
You look like a Raggedy Ann doll.
Oh, there you go.
Done. Yeah, see? Whoa, moving around.
Everybody's bouncing around. 300. We can't get anything right, can we?
No.
Steve goes under the desk.
I just noticed the balloons.
And if you look closely,
I'm sure
it
they
says
were there
300
the whole time.
on them. Yeah, I didn't do them in 30 seconds.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure they were there. I just didn't notice them.
And if you look really closely, I have scribbled with magic marker 300 on each one.
I can see, especially the orange one on your what would be on your left.
Yeah,
I can see the 300 written on it. I mean, 300 is a great movie. Don't get me wrong. It's like
not many balloons in it.
No. So we got banners today. We got all sorts of fun stuff. A lot to get to. Oh, I forgot to ask you guys before we started. Do we have a time constraint? Can we go a little longer? We're all set. I mean, we're not. I don't want to go crazy.
Long, a little. I still want to eat dinner. So
yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah, if the sun's coming up, we've gone too far.
Literally, the open I was working on right up until the last minute. So, and I saw we had a few people in the chat that got to see that. So, because that'll just be the stream open from now on. But, 300 episodes, guys. 300.
Pretty amazing. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll get to, we've got some, let's see, let's bring them up right now. We got Mike Wright. Hey, DJ, love your audio and videos. Great passion. If you could add me to the green room, that would be cool. And I did. I haven't added Mike yet. I've sent the name off to Todd. I'm waiting to hear back over at AV Nirvana. And but Mike became a Patreon supporter this week. So awesome. Thank you very much, Mike. Our first Patreon supporter since January.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we need to get a few more of those up there. So I'm not one for begging, but please. We need to get a few more up there. I know we have a bunch of listeners, so if you could support us monetarily, that'd be great, like Mike did. So thank you very much, Mike. Nelson hosted Danny Speakers this past weekend. And Danny Speakers also tweeted about it. Amazing theater that Nelson has. But Nelson also bought us a box of popcorn as well, $10 box of popcorn. And he's also a Patreon supporter. So thank you very much, Nelson. Always supporting the show. Obviously very friendly too. And he does have an amazing theater. I've been there. So thank you, Nelson. And then we got a $20 box of popcorn from Paul and this long email, but Steve can read it and it's really good. So he's a fairly new listener. So go ahead, Steve, take it away.
Okay. Are we giving his full name?
It's at the bottom. Paul Frederick.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So this is an email from Paul Frederick. Hope you're all sitting comfortably, children. And I will begin. Chapter 2. It's like reading an audio,
What are we on,
audio
shuffle?
book. Yeah, well, quite. Okay, so it's entitled Instant Huge Fan of Your Podcasts. Hello, gang, it says. I just discovered your podcasts, and it's all I listen to now in my car. I'm thinking of cancelling my subscription to Sirius XM now. I was an avid listener of Howard Stern, but he's rarely on and takes the summer off. To be honest, your show is infinitely more enjoyable to me anyway. There we go. There's a poster quote.
All right, can we pause right there? Mark that, Steve. We are infinitely more. We've surpassed Howard Stern.
Yep.
I mean, that's
Bask in the glory,
that's
gents.
huge. I would have put this at the front of the show, even if he didn't donate money.
Right.
Say things like that. We're having it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, so he continues. Chapter 3. I've had a home theatre since the late 80s and find my tastes are so similar to DJ's that we may be long-lost brothers. Except, he says, I'm a Yankee fan. Lol. I've been an isolated island in this hobby since day one, however, with no one else to really share my interest in my area of upstate New York. Others love coming to see it and watch sports and movies in my dedicated theatre room, but no one else has one, and I have nobody to discuss things like tech specs and speaker layouts, brands, favourite demo scenes, etc. Your podcast had reignited so much passion in me that I've been watching more movies, tweaking my system, and just enjoying it in a way I haven't in decades. Can't thank you enough. Chapter 4. I do have a point to this email. So I'll stop now. I do have a point to this email beyond just blowing rose-coloured smoke up your bottom. Though I really enjoyed your recent What is Reference podcast. I rarely listen at full reference volume as I find it too loud. I do find about -6 dB to be about right, though. Recently, my wife and I watched A Monster Calls, and I couldn't help but think about the topic of speaker balance and mixing volume and other things you mentioned in this podcast. The loud parts are so incredibly loud, yet I struggle to hear some of what the monster, voiced by Liam Neeson, is saying because they mixed a lot of echo into the surround channels as well as pumped up his voice with massive bass too. I think this is an incredible movie to use as a test because if you're not dialed in properly, it's easy to not hear what he is saying. It can be overpowered by subwoofer bass and surround embellishment. You should check it out for sure. I ran tests after and found my center channel to be about 2 dB too low. Another thing I thought of while watching this, what movies are spouse friendly, aka chick flicks? But also stunning examples of home theatre excellence. It would make a good topic for your podcast. We all have to watch a film our spouses will enjoy from time to time, but which ones are reference quality as well? I definitely would say A Monster Calls is the perfect example. It has great SFX, incredible animation sequences, yes, animation, and downright room-shaking 7.1 surround. He says, I only have it on Blu-ray. My wife cries uncontrollably every time we watch it too. I wonder what other chick flicks, can we use this term anymore, lol, boast this level of home theatre demo power, but also keep our spouses happy. Anyway, keep up the amazing work. I'm a documentary filmmaker and know how much work it takes to put this type of material together every week. I'm also now a dedicated fan and will listen to every episode as they come out. I'm going to buy you a box of popcorn because of how thrilled I am with the work you're doing. Paul Frederick. And there we go.
Nice. Thanks,
cool.
Paul. That was awesome.
Does it have to be chick flick? Do we have to use that term? I think there are plenty of movies that are great for the whole family.
Yeah.
But yeah, loads of them.
Yeah, but it's like, I think, I mean, if you're referring to one that like your wife or, or a woman would like to go to, like, yeah, I can't wait to see that. Like, I know for my wife, it is Moulin Rouge, Greatest Showman, stuff like, and those are movies that are, to me, they're also spectacular too. It's where do we have that crossover, like that, what kind of the Venn diagram? Where's that crossover in the middle where we both are like, yeah, let's go watch that one.
Don't the studios call it 4-quadrant programming or something? Isn't that what they call it?
Is that what they do?
Yeah,
I have no idea.
So. I think so.
That's awesome. That's fun.
But Maverick's one of those. Things like that kind, something that everybody loves. That the female of the species likes Tom Cruise in the flight suits, and we can just enjoy the big planes and the roary engines.
Yeah, or Chris Helmsworth.
He's not in Maverick. He's not in Maverick, mate. Just
I know. No, but yeah, it's my wife usually likes the musicals. That's what and that's what she really gets excited for, to go down to the theater and stuff. It's like she's She'd just as soon watch any good-looking guy on a regular television in the living room. She's like, I don't need the screen for that. But,
well, we talked about a movie last week that needs to be seen again, John, as you did. To watch Knock at the Cabin Door or Knock at the Cabin. Yeah, that's a movie that needs to be seen with the other half, and then the very awkward conversations afterwards,
which I skipped.
Sensibly.
Didn't want to have.
We got a bunch of people in the chat, but thank you, Paul, for that. That was awesome. I read that. I showed it to my wife. I'm like, look at this. I'm like, this is great. So, I mean, great comments. Everything. So thank you very much, Paul. I really appreciate that. But we have a bunch of people in the chat. So let's go right down. We got Mike Schramm, happy 300th. We got Steve, 300 down, thousands to go? Question mark. I'm like, yeah.
Steve.
Hey, what? Hey.
I don't know about thousands.
Well, I started without you. I can end without you.
Surely though, John, you mean by thousands, you mean thousands of followers on YouTube.
Yes,
and
on
then,
YouTube.
of course, the money flows.
Well, then I'm down for thousands.
Yeah, exactly. Paul, evening all. Happy 300th. Gurinder in the chat as well. Way to go on 300 episodes. VJM with hi all. Wow, 300. Rock on. Jordan Carpenter. Hello, everyone. Happy 300. Johnny Speakers. Happy 300. That's where Danny Speakers right now. Hey, guys. Happy 300. Joe, congratulations on the perfect bowling game.
Nice.
Get that? I like that, huh?
I get it.
Nelson's in the chat. How you doing, buddy? Happy 300th. Thank you. Yeah. So if you got, there we go. Got another one. Mark Hader. Mark, how you doing? Hader. My eyes are going. I thought I said Holder for a second. Mark's in the chat. Happy 300, guys. Zombie Russ. Happy 300. Box of popcorn. There we go. Yeah. Let me know if you guys see any more pop up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
While we're before we sort of get into the meat of the show, Deej, but while we're talking about the 300th
we're into
episode,
the meat.
We're into the meat. So we're right within the feral pig. No,
Here we go.
Look, this is this is talking about Four Quadrant. Now we're talking about Twitter jokes on here and everything. Mm-hmm. Okay, so before we do that, because I am the closest person to a listener that's on the podcast regularly. You guys started this. You were doing this long before I came along. So I get to be the closest person as a listener that can give you direct comments now. So can I say...
We're getting critiqued, John.
Yeah, you're in trouble now. Can I say, just in all seriousness for a second, just to say thanks to you and to John for 300 episodes. I've come along very recently. And if it wasn't for you guys, none of this would be happening. This community wouldn't be here. This wouldn't be carrying on. And Deej, whilst it's tempting to just thank you, you've said many times, if it wasn't for John, you wouldn't still be doing it. It's very cool. And you guys built this, and without you, this doesn't happen. So from my point of view, and I'm sure for the guys listening and watching and anyone else that comes along to watch it, thank you. I really, I do mean that. It's awesome, and it's very cool. So yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah,
I'll stop the serious stuff now.
And that's
no more
why
of that, please.
Yeah, that's why I opened the show with
shed a tear.
Yeah. I said I wasn't going to cry.
You like me. You really like me.
Yeah. No, that's why I opened the show with the. It's on the tip of my tongue, but hey, welcome back to the Bright Side, issue number 300. That's how we open chat. Yeah. And that's how John, and we didn't start that way, that's for sure.
No.
And we've played some outtakes from that, but that's how we started. And then it was, like I said, a year later, I was started on my own, and chat was supposed to be home theater, my side, and comics, John's side. And we did a show, and we were like,
we did a couple shows, I think, but
we did one, and we were like, this is awful. Yeah. This was just off. Like it was, do you remember what we tried to explain? And neither of us knew how to, and it sounds silly, but we didn't know how to speak in a podcast while being recorded. It's like, okay, hit record. and it was dead air. And it's like, you could just take it out, but we got instantly nervous. But then we had our segments lined up and John spoke on something. And then we were talking about movies and John's like, so what is Dolby Atmos? And then I started to describe what Dolby, remember that? And the two of us were like listening to it back going, oh my God, I'm bored.
Yeah.
This is
terrible.
awful. It was so bad. So we're like, we can't do that. And we just streamlined it right all to comics and then talking about the movies, but not the home theater part of it, just talking about, I think it was it Love and Thunder we had to do twice? Not Love and Thunder, I'm sorry, Thor, Dark World. Right.
Dark World, maybe.
One of the Thor movies we had to do twice because it came out so bad. And then we had to re-record the whole thing. And that came out. That's what actually got published. And that was so, we
worse.
hear it and it was like, we were trying to say the same jokes again.
Right.
That we had made off
Never
the cuff
a good
at the
idea.
time.
Yeah,
No,
it didn't work.
we are not actors.
Right.
It was so bad. But yeah, we wouldn't, any of this would be here if it wasn't, the two of us sitting under an umbrella at an amusement park in Houston.
Yep.
But yeah, so but with all of that, this is why I moved this to the front of the show. I think this is funny, guys. This we've got 300 episodes. We've been around so long. People are actually suggesting stuff that we've already done. So let me read this. This is from Steve and he says, DJ, I've been making my way through some of your older Takeover Tuesday podcasts now that I've set up my Apple Watch to download these for listening during gym workouts. I'm 2/3 through the visit with Danny Speakers, and I had a thought to toss your way. You guys discussed comparing your setups through various scenes that you are using. I know we all have some favorites. I have about 90 in my Plex demo library to show off our systems. How about picking a dozen of your favorites and posting them on the website with timestamps or chapters if you have them? Then the community can have some common ground to discuss the experiences they have or don't have and how they may want to tweak their setups to improve things. Just a thought, not looking to create more work for you, Steve at. And I went back and I grabbed, I forget which one it was that I grabbed and sent him. And it's one of the ones that back when I was doing it all by myself and it has the timestamps and everything. And I'm like this? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, oh my God, it's so fun. And you forget that. And it's like, Steve, and I thanked him in the email. We discussed back and forth, but thank you for bringing this up because sometimes we lose sight. Newer listeners maybe don't go that far back, but that's exactly how I started the podcast, right? Steve and Lucy and Midway and all of those movies. And I added timestamps and there are a bunch of them.
We've done so many of
YouTube.
them. You've done so many of them now, like we were talking about last week. You can't actually remember all the ones you've done because we weren't sure whether we'd done Battle LA or not.
Behind Enemy Lines was the one that I sent them. And that was one of my favorite ones too, because that one came out awesome. That movie is like the scene when he's running and they're boom, 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 boom on either side. I remember breaking that all down. And but it is a very time-consuming way to do the podcast because you have to watch the movie, stamp the movie, break the movie down, and then to keep this going, I want to go back to that. Not in particular, and I've been saying it, but not 100% that way. But maybe my section of the show, when I get time to actually do that, you guys could do your thing, and then I'll break a movie down or a couple of scenes down, and then I'd love to get back to that because it is kind of how we started. I love doing it. And it is nice to go back and see those timestamps. I got boxes of popcorn next to the more popular ones. You can go back on the website to find them all. But again, on YouTube, you scroll all the way back, you'll find them there. And nerdylegion.com has everything. If you go to nerdylegion.com and then you'll see, just click on Brightside Home Theater and every single episode is there in audio form. And obviously the timestamps and everything are there as well. So, and there's, a lot of movies. I've broken down a lot of movies and, there's still more to be done, right guys?
Oh yeah, always.
So
yeah, well, I've tried to add some timestamps into mine this week, and then the next.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I'm trying to do a bit more of that as well, because I realize I keep going. At the beginning, it's really good, and then in the middle, it's great, and in the end, it's quite good as well. Right. And I realize that's not really very helpful.
Yeah.
So I tried to add some in, but then you encounter certain films, and you're like timestamp second 1 to 1 hour and 53 minutes, and everything in between. And we've got one of those tonight.
That's what was Pacific Rim was like. And I watched that movie and I'm like, how do you stamp this movie? And it was, and that's what I leaned into that. I was like, let's just go. And I just went with it. And you're like, because it's just that good of a movie all the way from the beginning to the end for audio. And you end up starting to look for some of the quieter times, and like that scene when they're in the bunker and the helicopter, you can hear it flying by. And at the you're like, what is that noise? And then it's starting to go across the front of the screen. And then you see it go by the window in the distance, and then it goes by. You're like, and you still didn't know what it was until you saw it out the window, and you're like, oh, that was cool.
Yeah,
it's funny.
It's great. I love that film. And is it 10-year anniversary within the last couple of weeks? I saw Guillermo del Toro putting out some behind the scenes stuff. Yeah, 10 years. Goodness me, time's gone fast.
It goes quick.
Yeah. There's some guys in the chat talking about IMAX and the BFI in London, and talking about Oppenheimer coming out. I'm not going to say who it is, but I can tell you now, there is a person in the chat who has seen it. I don't know if he will out himself, but there is someone in the chat who has seen Oppenheimer, and the verdict is good.
Oh, really? Who am I looking at in the chat that could have seen it? Carl?
No? I'm not going to out them unless they want to out themselves. Oh. But yes, I know at least one person in the chat has definitely seen it.
Oh, so, cool.
Yeah, apparently very good indeed.
Oh, I didn't really have a doubt. I love Christopher Nolan movies. I can't wait. I'm seeing it Thursday at 5:00. So really excited for that. But I think I have my movie, my home theater experience of the year that I can't wait to tell you guys about. And you may be a little surprised.
Yeah, my one's not going to be until week after next. I had my theater experience of the year last night, but I can't talk about that till week after next. I thought you
might have. I saw it in the notes, and I thought you might have. So yeah, I think, but yeah, we'll get to it.
Yeah.
All right, you ready to get to our real HT experiences?
Let's jump right in.
Yep.
All right. Let me shut this down. Real HT experiences coming up. And what could be more appropriate? There you go. 300 4K Dolby Atmos. Gerard Butler at his most nakedness. I don't know.
Yes. Diaper Central.
Yeah, exactly. Wardrobe. We didn't need them this film.
Quite. Although it sounds like, from what I understand, they went through hell. And Gerard Butler's been interviewed about it since and just said it was grueling, it was horrible. And I don't think we've seen him with his shirt off since.
No.
He's not one of the actors that always, had like Chris Hemsworth, who's got to take his shirt off. It's like in the contract, for the film. At some point, I've got to be half naked.
Well, what's funny is it's having been around that world enough, bodybuilding and all, these guys, like when they pose, when they compete, they peak for that moment. Actors peak for that scene. Right. So if you notice in a lot of the movies, they'll have a couple of scenes with their shirt off. That's all shot in a day. And then everything else is like baggy clothes. And they're like, we got to do a reshoot. Well, okay. But and you'll see, and you can actually see in the movie the weight difference and like waistlines and stuff if you're looking for it. And you can't have a peak day. I mean, what are you going to film the whole thing? And it's like, I mean, guys, when they get that big and that ripped, you've got no muscle on, not muscle. You've got no fat on you. And it's not uncommon for them to like pass out and just like be exhausted. And it must have been hell for this movie.
Yeah, and you're not just talking one lead actor either.
No.
He's talking, probably 30, 40 principal actors in that, all with the, the 6-pack or the 12-pack, I think pretty much with them. So yeah, they talk, no one talks about it fondly.
No.
And rightly so. But yeah,
I need a shield. I need a shield for this scene.
just cover it this way.
Yeah.
So now, so I chose this. It was me that watched it. I chose this because obviously it's the 300th show. And although I know all of us, I think, have got the disc, or at least you got the Kaleidescape version. Have you all seen the 4K disc? Have you seen it, John?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I broke it down. This is one you can go back, and I broke this one down a long time ago. One of my
well, quite. I mean, this is the movie I was referring to a little bit earlier when I said that this could be timestamp 0000 to 0143. I mean, this film is demo worthy, and I've seen the 4K disc and I remember loving it, but I had forgotten just how good this is. It is fantastic, and this is the movie we never mention. We get quite a lot, don't we? People say, "Oh, what are the discs to demo? What are the discs that you would show off your cinema with?" And I always forget this, and I won't forget it now because it is fantastic. The movie's great. We all love the movie, and again, those of you with a graphic and design sensibility and a comic book thing, I mean, it couldn't look better. I mean, there are times when this just looks like a graphic novel come to life, which of course is exactly what they wanted it to be, and it's absolutely fantastic. Video wise, it is 300, so it is stylized. None of it looks realistic. It's all very, it's hot at times. It's very grainy, but it's meant to be. But still, the HDR brings out the contrast between the light and the dark. And there's lots of scenes where you have parts of the screen that are in brightest light and then darkest blacks all on the same screen, and that all looks great. But in terms of the audio, and that's what we're really here to talk about, I think, with this movie. I mean, this is literally, you can see in my notes here, I have got a timestamp from 0000 because you have the opening logos right from the credits. Yeah. You get lightning, and you get the legendary Pictures logo comes from front left right across over the overheads to rear right as that logo comes onto screen, and you get the sort of there's music and there's everything and voices, and oh my goodness me, it just starts off incredibly, just the biggest, dopiest grin on your face when it starts. And it's superb. So I've got that one straight away. And honestly, I could have just left it there and just said everything else that comes after it, the same. Right. But I did try to kind of spread it down a little bit. So the next one I've got is the 12-minute 30 mark, which is This Is Sparta, where of course you get that, the shout, and as he sort of kicks the poor unfortunate soul, you get that bass kick as well. So you get that, and then again you get all the thunder and the rumble in the subs as well, which was class. I then went to 1330, which is where he climbs up to now is it the E4s? I think I'm saying that right. Where he climbs this sort of mountain to get up there. And as he's doing that, you've got rocks that are falling as he's climbing, and they fall from up above you and come down onto the screen and then drop down again. This is one, Deej, where you need your speakers in the floor, because then it could go down below you.
Yeah. So what was the time you had on that one?
This is 1330. I've got 13 and a half minutes.
I had it at 1350. I had the 12 one. This is Sparta. I had, and when I captioned it, I was this, all in caps. This period is period Sparta, all caps.
Cinema.
And, well, did you see Adriano put that out today?
Yeah.
This is Brightside. This is Brightside. I love it.
But you've got, as he's climbing these rocks, they fall from up above. And whilst that's all going on, which is cool in and of itself, that would be great. But you then have lightning, and then you've got the voiceover, which sounds like it's right next to you. It feels like you're in the room. And it's absolutely incredible. And then I put in, just because I thought I should put some sort of video thing in, otherwise it's just all audio. I put 0033. That can't be right. Might be 33 minutes then. The villager tree. The villagers nailed to the tree. The HDR on that makes it look three-dimensional. You've got the light behind them, and it's coming forward, and then the shadow that it casts looks like 3D. And of course, this was famously released in 3D, wasn't it? And so it really does. You get that three-dimensional stuff to it, which is great. And then I've got 44 minutes battle formations. That's another one of those scenes where you can hear the subs are moving before you see what it is, which is class. And it just keeps going. Lots of deep bass. And then you get the fight in the shade at the 50-minute mark, which is where you've got the arrows coming and they come all around the room. They come from the front right over the top. And as they land, they are all around you, which I, really, really like that. And then I stopped at 1 hour 10 with explosives where they're throwing the explosions and they come from off screen right across. Yeah. And again, the room's shaking. After that, I just thought that's enough because it literally could be the entire movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It never lets up. It's never sonically boring. Never.
No.
It just keeps coming. I mean, reference disc, guys. I mean, I would say so for audio.
Yeah, I think so.
I would say so for video too. This one, I have a few here. I remember distinctly at the 21-minute mark. I'm not saying I remember distinctly. I pulled up my notes. I did this podcast November 13th of 2020. It's titled Week 45 of 2020, 304K. And the stamps I had on this, that 21-minute mark when they're in the their bedroom or whatever, and he's going off, but the close-ups with the light coming through the window and then the light on his face. And I had never seen it, like the detail that you can see in his eyes where there should be just black shadow, because it is a high contrast movie, but being able to see the line on his eyelid and stuff that's all in black, but it's a very, charcoaly gray line. There's so much detail in it. 25 minutes and 20 seconds, bands of light, I'm assuming. And I'm just trying to remember this off of the top of my head from when I did it. But I think they're going down the path and it looks like they're in like the fields, but the bands of light in the background coming down, it blew me away. It was, I compared this to the disc to the Zapiti. I was using my Zapiti. I had just got the Zapiti at the time and I was comparing those and everything. So I did a lot with it, but I also have for 4K HDR at 1 hour, 4 minutes and 44 seconds, Battling the Immortals. And I gave that 3 boxes of popcorn. I don't remember exactly. I'd have to go back and listen what I saw there. And the same 1 hour and 8 minutes, The Cape, 3 boxes of popcorn for sound, I'm guessing. But then another 108.56, I called it Superman, 3 boxes of popcorn, and it's 4K HDR. So that should be interesting to see what they did. I think it's when he jumps and he comes over. It's like a Superman punch.
Yeah.
So, but
that's awesome.
Yeah. And I loved it. I was blown. I already did love that movie, but then when I saw it in the 4K, I was like, oh my God. So yeah, really cool. Nice job.
It was such a pleasure to rewatch it. Again, and I've got to remember, you'll have to remind me, guys, next time someone says, what are some, discs that anybody should watch? Then that's got to be in there. And I don't know why we keep forgetting. Actually, that might be one to watch with the missus as well. They can watch the pectorals and we'll be listening for all the awesome audio and video.
Yeah.
Jordan says in the chat, just again for those listening, that he agrees it's an absolutely spectacular 4K disc. Would like to see the sequel get a physical 4K disc. I've only seen the sequel once. I've got it on 3D Blu-ray. I didn't think the sequel was very good. Certainly not a patch on the original. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Have you seen the sequel? What would you?
I think it's a decent movie. Like, I haven't seen it, obviously, in 4K, and it doesn't exist, but I thought the movie was fine. It wasn't, I treated it as a different movie, really. Like, it's no, I don't know why it had to be
I don't even remember the sequel.
Really.
It had Eva Green in it.
Eva Green and...
it didn't have anyone. Obviously, didn't have any of the original cast members in.
No, but the main actor, I've seen him in several other things too. I can't remember.
Yeah, I would think twice before I bought the 4K disc of the sequel. I remember thinking, I'm not quite sure why I'm watching this. Whereas, as I say, the original is fantastic. And of course, the birth of the Zack Snyder slow-mo shots. But it's such a good disc. I absolutely recommend this. By the way, Omar's in the chat, guys. Omar's dropped in.
Omar, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, man, good to see him in there. So yeah, great stuff. So highly recommend this. This is a reference disc. If you don't have it, get it. It's well worth getting. But yeah, very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, really cool. That's the website right there with all, and then the show notes and everything. So, yeah, check that out. Watch the movie, then listen to all my timestamps. And now we have Steve's too. John, your turn.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else? What are we going to go with?
Just before we move on, guys, just because John the naughty boy.
Yeah. That's why you watch it.
So John in chat says, because Eva Green fights topless, that's why you watched it. Now, if I do that, I'd feel a right tit. Oh, sorry, did I say that? I didn't mean
Good God. Oh, very
Moving on.
nice.
So we get to 301.
Yeah. All right. So
we're canceled.
Yeah, that's it for Brightside Home Theater. I'm going to write a Dear John letter with my pen.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be there somewhere.
Did you know
not available at all good retailers near you?
Right, exactly. And it's a
stand
light
for
your phone. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't. Where did it go?
Yeah, you didn't put that in, Deej. That's not there.
No, I was talking. I was talking.
Can't tease me with the Lucy picture now.
Yeah, I'll add it up. I'll add it later. All right. Let me get. I wanted to. I was going to open the show with this one, but I really can't because Steve had such a perfect choice. So let's. I mean, guys, I'm telling you, home theater experience of the year, not movie of the year, not home theater movie of the year, but man, The Flash. Say what you. I mean, we all enjoyed it, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Some of us more than others.
Yeah, well, that's I think it's. I mean, that goes without saying, right? Otherwise, we would have all liked it exactly the same. I don't think the pen is real. No one but DJ has seen it. I gotta get them out.
Don't take your eyes off the pen.
Yeah, exactly. It's real. Hey. Yeah. There
I think
it is.
I think
that's
we're
the
being
prototype.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's just the entity. It's just making us believe that there's a pen.
Oh. Don't get me started on that yet.
There's a bunch.
Ooh, look at that.
Look at that. Huh? Wow.
Yeah, showing off now, Deej.
I know.
Yeah. No, you're right. I got to get to the post office, mail all these out. I know. I'm lazy.
No, that's if there's one thing you're not. So anyway, back to The Flash.
The Flash. I was looking forward to it. I pre-purchased it on Kaleidescape, but when it came out, like the day the movie comes out, it was available. And I think we even said when we saw it in the theaters, we're like, it's not doing well. Maybe we'll get this early. And up until this movie, I thought my local cinema had upgraded their projector. And they did, and upgraded their sound. And I'm like, wow, it's getting close to what I get at home. I'm watching. I swear to God, I had extra caffeine today because I'm going to watch it again tonight. It is that good of a home theater experience. No spoilers if you haven't seen it and you're thinking of just watching it on 4K. I don't want to ruin anything for you, but we all know Batman's in it. We know Ben Affleck's in it. The opening scene, his suit, the lightning, the colors, the contrast, the blacks, the brights, it is absolutely. I was stunned how good this looked, and it's also. This could be part of it. It's in 185. So it's like almost your whole screen, but it's like, like Avengers is in 185. So, I mean, your whole screen is there and you're just like, it such rich colors. The lightning is amazing as it goes around on him. The other part that I didn't want to fail to mention is the back of the Bat Cycle. It has the, like the old Batmobile, you've got that jet engine thing, but it's square, right? And it's long, like, kind of like Kit's, like light on the front of the car. It comes out like a snow cone. It's like red, white, and blue. And as it comes, and the first time he zooms onto the screen and you see the back of the bike, I was like, holy crap. Like the color was amazing. I was like, I think it starts red and goes to white or blue, whatever it is. I can't wait to see it again. I'm like, it looked awesome. Absolutely awesome. And it was like all those, yeah, Dan, come on over, buddy. It was amazing. And then when the action slows down a little bit and you get to see Ben Affleck in the bat suit, that it's like the bat symbol on his chest is metallic. The reflections on it, like it's like a hunk of metal, but it's glossy. Not, I won't say black, but it's like whatever color. It's a very dark color, but you could see the reflections. You can see the flash in the reflections, and his suit is old school blue. It just looks awesome. And the details that you see in it, and it's his watch. I didn't know, like, all the stuff that it actually makes more sense. When he saves the children, again, I don't want to give it away, but you go back and you see what he's doing, and what it actually amazed me is like everything he did for a reason. There were things that I saw in the theater that I was like, oh yeah, okay, that's a gimmicky, fun way to do it. But now, maybe because I'm closer to the screen, it's there, I'm concentrating, and I know what's going to happen. More intimate experience, but I'm like, everything he does, I'm trying to give you, like, he takes a bedpan. Okay. And it looks like a throwaway scene, but he takes the bedpan, and then moments later, they just show something go into the bedpan just as it was about to hit a baby. But he had done this 6 moves earlier. You know what I mean? So it's like when you watch it in that context, you're like, he's playing chess 50 moves ahead because he's analyzed this entire thing. And it made that more fun to me. It's like, it shows how smart he is, and get away, take your brain out of the part where like, oh, this is ridiculous, and be like, okay, we're in a comic book and parts of it are shot like that. It makes you feel like that. But I was absolutely, I liked the movie anyways. I know a lot of people didn't, and they think it's ridiculous or whatever. That's fine. But as a home theater experience, it's absolutely amazing. The sound, I turned this back up to 80. I went back up to reference level because it's large screen, big, and I just wanted to have fun with it. And it wasn't overpowering. So if you're at -6, where we're tending to live, and you want to bump it a little bit, you'll be fine. I did. And I mean, tons of feels throughout I had an absolute blast with this. And I haven't felt this way since Morbius, maybe? I mean, Maverick was awesome, but I'm saying about a movie that wasn't as great of a movie, but like home theater wise, I think I was trying to come up with a comparison. But I don't.
I'm certainly looking forward to it. I mean, we shouldn't expect anything less than awesome, because whatever you think of the DC movies, Warner Brothers release very, very good 4K discs. I mean, Black Adam, Shazam, these are they all look spectacular. I mean, obviously Aquaman, but in terms of the recent two, they've looked and sounded incredible. And to then get it in 1.85 as well, yeah, it sounds amazing. I don't think there's a release date for it yet, is there? Of the physical disc? Don't think there is. So. No, but I'll pick it up. I mean, I enjoyed it. I am looking forward to seeing it properly on a in the cinema room. So yeah, you've just got us very excited for that, Deej. Although I'm sure John and I were going to be buying it straight away anyway.
Yeah.
So very cool. Just so you know, I mean, obviously for your diary, Deej, Dan's trying to arrange his showing. Deej is frozen.
I think he's frozen.
Can you hear us, Deej? Okay, right. This is our show then, John. Yeah, right, that's it. We're done.
Or you and I are frozen.
Yeah, no, he's frozen. His it dropped out just before the show started. So it.
Really?
I think there are some issues. Yeah. Alrighty. So right, Italian recipes then. Oh my gosh, he's been cloned.
Now he's
been cloned.
What the?
Now he's back at the bottom.
Yeah, man. Whoa. When you said 300 episodes, you didn't mean 300 DJs, did you? It's like multiplicity. This is a different kind of Michael Keaton movie.
Can you guys
I think
hear
he's
me?
a scroll, Steve.
Yeah, I can hear you, mate. Yeah, can you hear us?
Add to stream.
Oh, there we go. Yay.
Who did that?
You. I haven't touched anything.
I haven't done anything. Something weird is going on my
The
side.
entity. The entity. We mocked it earlier, and now it is coming back to get us.
Yeah.
Something.
Everyone's still in the chat, I think. Oh, here we go. Jordan, sorry, just whilst you're sorting that out, Deej. Jordan says, yeah, so we're still up and running.
Yeah.
So the UK physical release for The Flash is apparently the 17th of September. Now, if anybody on God's green earth knows the release date, it would be Jordan Carpenter. He is my release date guru. Right. No, nothing comes to 4K except by him.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if he says 17th of September, I believe him. Simple as that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It'll be great. Long way to wait, though. Long time to wait.
Yeah, it's a few months.
I'll just put something on. Sorry, I've just done that when it came.
There we go.
Right, there we go. All right, you're right, Deej.
Yeah.
We had that issue earlier. Yeah.
I think my mouse died or something, and it just started doing so. Because I lost everything I loaded in here. I went away and came back. I'm like, how the heck? And then I came back underneath. I'm like, but I was still here. My whole screen just went blank. I was like, what the hell just that? And I just came back into the stream. So,
well, I'm sorry that your mouse died. How long have you had a pet? Yeah. Did he, were you close with him?
Algernon?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've lost,
no worries.
I've lost the whole thing. Holy crap.
That's it's a couple of times. So that's okay.
Weird.
But we're definitely looking forward to The Flash.
Yeah. Is that what we're talking for? Oh my God. Yeah, that's right.
About the Flash.
Yeah.
And I
said Flash and then you disappeared.
Right.
In a flash.
Yeah.
There we go. The Flash. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That was weird. But yeah, absolutely amazing. I can't wait for you guys to see it. And it is so far, it's the home theater experience of the year. So, all right, let's get to, John, do you want to, you know what we can do? We can, and I got to bring that up too. Let's do, you want to do The Witcher? Because
sure.
I want to hear about what you thought of it. Oops, wrong one.
Oh. Okay. Did you watch it?
I started it. I haven't seen it yet. So, no, I started it and there we go. The Witcher. Don't prompt. Boom. There we go. Yeah, The Witcher on Netflix.
On Netflix,
season.
So this was season
3,
part 1, because this season is in 2 halves. So there was 5 episodes that dropped, and I can't see what that poster says, but I think the 3rd week of July. So probably in another
July
week or
27th.
So. Okay, so next week we get the last 5 episodes. This is Netflix, so it's, to me, on the higher end of the Netflix productions. You could tell they definitely put their money into the the Dolby Vision, the HDR, the Dolby Atmos, because this, like the other 2 seasons, it's not anything that's better or worse than season 1 or 2 when it comes to the home theater experience. But this is really, really good quality. It's got really good Atmos. The HDR and the picture are great. And this, unfortunately, because it's Henry Cavill's last season, is where the show is finally finding its way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's really kind of settled into where it wants to be, and now we're losing Henry Cavill. So I'm interested to see how they make that transition and what the next season looks like. But for now, we're just going to enjoy the second half of it next week and see what happens from there. But I feel like the first season was was confusing. It was it was tough to follow, and it made your work. Season 2 is a little bit more linear and straightforward. But this season, like I said, it kind of feels like all the characters, all the actors, everybody have found their stride, and and now we're going to lose Henry. So we'll see. But like I said, as far as home theater goes, it's really, really good. Like I said, it's top of the line for Netflix, right up there with Stranger Things and some of the some of the ones that they've put their dollars into.
Yeah.
It's
very. It's. I would say it's shot kind of dark, but
it's dreary because the world is dreary,
right? But the brights are so nice. They do a great job with the contrast, and I mean, I think this was one of the first ones that you and I started talking about. Like, I think Netflix is doing something different with their HD.
Right.
Like, they know how to shoot HDR for streaming, and because it was shows like this that. Even like season 1, we loved it, and it was great HDR. And at the time, I think maybe we were going through season 8 of Game of Thrones, and it just didn't feel like they knew how to shoot HDR for streaming.
Yeah, I don't know what the timeline was.
Yeah, but it has been very impressive from the beginning. Yeah. So home theater wise, and like you said, it's
I said, this season was no different. Because like you said, it is drab. It's kind of a dark world, but there are scenes where they'll be like, they'll pop into the forest, or they'll be somewhere in nature where there's, some water and trees, and it looks really bright and colorful. So it does pop when it needs to. Dan says not a complicated storyline. Yeah. Once you get past season 1, it's not a complicated storyline. Season 1 was a little tough.
Yeah. Remember we talked about it on chat, and then it was in that show that you were like, oh, there's a specific timeline here.
Well, there was 3 timelines really that were going on all at once. And you don't know that at first. You're like, wait a minute. This lady in the beginning of episode 2, didn't she just die at the end of episode 1?
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know what's going on until you realize that you're following 3 separate timelines.
Right.
And every character is in a different timeline. And then, it kind of comes all together towards the end. But yeah, it was not the easiest watch for season 1.
No.
But yeah, I agree
ended up
with
going
Dan
back through it.
Yeah. After that, season 2 and 3 become much more linear and, easier to follow. And it's just great action. It's just a really good,
I thought I read they learned that from season 1. They were like, yeah, season 2 is going to be straight shot and like stay on the same timeline. And you were like, so after
the showrunner addressed it kind of after the end of season 1.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? That's my doorbell. I'm sorry. I need to go. I'll be right back.
No problem. Let's see. Steve, what would you like? Oh, why don't you? Oh, here we go.
Yeah, so Paul says there's much more TV than I can keep up with, and I don't even have Netflix.
I know. It is so hard. It's like, I mean, we don't tend to get into that stuff here, but it's like, I hate to say it. I hate to be this guy, but, the writer's strike and everything might help us a little bit. Like, I can get caught up because
we're going to be speaking to Carl at some point, Deej.
I know. It's like,
no,
I know. No, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like, there's just so much out there, and it's like everybody, I mean, we all have, I don't even have it in this week's show. I'm going to talk about it next show. Foundation. That just dropped last week, first episode. And that's what got me to get my Lumagen. I loved the show. I loved the first episode. And what was it last night? I'm laying in bed and I'm like, did I miss? Nope. It had just dropped Friday, but I'm like, I got so much going on. I'm like, how many days is it? Has it been a week? Has it been 2 weeks? I don't know. So I can't wait for Friday to see the next episode. But I think everybody's like that. I've had people tell me, one of my friends at the bar, we were talking the other night, and she texts me the next day and goes, her son loves movies. She's like, what was the movie you were telling me about last night for Cody to watch? I don't know. I'm like, I have no idea, because I talked to people that morning about movies. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, she goes, we were talking about the Joker movie and he loves that. And you were like, Signs? I don't know. I'm like trying to think of something. I'm like, I have no idea, but there's so much great stuff that when somebody recommends it to you, who's sitting around going, I got nothing to watch.
Yeah.
Oh, well, right now, me.
All right. I got one for you, John. Have you seen Kaylee Coco's one on, I think it's on Peacock?
Yeah, I haven't.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's like crazy. Like you're like, how the hell could you? So her and her husband, former tennis stars, their characters, and they decide to do a podcast with a serial killer.
Oh, okay.
Because they need to make money. They're broke.
Right.
And it is so good. Like Jen and I watch it and we're like, it's like you're on the edge of your seat because it's a little bit kind of crazy. You're like, you would never do this. But at the same time, you're like, how are they going to get away with this? How do you do this? And like how they're enabling a serial killer. But at the same time, it's funny, but it's not. And then we just can't wait to get to the next episode because they do a good job of, I said it to her last night, at the end of the episode, they leave you like, remember 24, the show 24, keep it, they leave you going, oh my God, I can't wait for the next one. And you have to get into the next one. But yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I've looked at it once or twice. I just haven't started it yet. But yeah, we're kind
it's not necessarily a whole
the barrel these days, looking for new things to watch.
If there's films you want, John, how many do you want? I've got as many as you like.
Yeah. I mean, I've always got my movie. Like I said, I can always pull out a disc and watch a movie, but like
I'm still saying only
kind
the
of
brave.
shows and things. Yeah.
Only the brave.
I need to buy that. It's still on my list.
Yeah, it's just got to be seen.
Because it's not streaming anywhere.
No, it's worth buying. It is really good. It was shot with IMAX cameras. Certain bits of it's in Atmos. It's great.
Because I've looked for it a couple times.
And especially at the moment with forest fires all over Europe, it's actually quite an interesting time to watch it, frankly. Oh. So there we go. All right.
You ready for No Country?
Ooh, yeah.
Okay, Steve.
So No Country for Old Men. This is the last one of my little, real American Western modern American Western trilogy. After Wind River, I did Hell or High Water, and then back to the granddaddy of them all, the No Country for Old Men. In fact, I can't call it a Texan trilogy because, of course, Wind River isn't in Texas, is it? But it's still a modern American Western, so we'll go with that. And this, I think, DJ, actually, in hindsight, because in fact, it's not in DTS Master Audio, it's in Uncompressed 5.1.
Yeah,
now I may have put the wrong one. Yeah, no, you're okay. But just for accuracy, otherwise I get loads of tweets afterwards from people going, "I think you'll find it's." So I've got to do it.
But
correct.
As long as we audibly connect, for anybody, it's just
all
like
good.
Just blame me, DJ. Like last week, I gave you a 2.0 and it was an Atmos.
Yeah, for an Atmos. Yeah.
Don't trust the graphic; those are hastily made.
Yes. So it's an Uncompressed 5.1. Now, I think this probably belongs really in honorable mentions because it's not really a home theater movie, I'm sorry to say, in as much as
I'm glad I spent so much time on the graphic then.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to acknowledge that I had seen it and to tell everyone they need to see it again. And it doesn't matter how many times you've seen it, this movie needs to be watched again and again and again and again. But it's still, because it's an incredible movie. It's a masterpiece, I would say. I think this movie is a 5-star absolute instant classic. And from the Tommy Lee Jones narration to the Anton Chigurh kind of scenes, obviously the penny, the nickel, isn't it? And that kind of stuff. It's just incredible. And so it's an amazing film, and it's still just as good. I mean, I hadn't seen it for a few years. This is the first time for a while, and the first time I'd seen it on the big screen. I know it's not big to you guys, but big screen for me, right? And it's the first time to see it on that. And the cinematography is incredible. It still looks amazing. This is only the Blu-ray, but again, it's made for larger screens. The audio is okay. Unfortunately, there's not a lot in there that I think really kind of shows off your sound system. You've got the quite cool, completely made up noise of the sort of silenced shotgun, which does sound quite cool, and quite futuristic, bizarrely, I think. So that's quite good. It is entirely made up. It's not real. And so that's quite nice. And that does move around the soundstage a bit. And there is a gunfight with that, where, Josh Brolin's being pursued by Anton Chigurh, and you've got him shooting off screen, and that moves around the theater a bit, but it's not very showy. for home theater, other than it's just the cinematography looks great on the big screen. So I mean, I can't recommend the movie enough. If you haven't seen this, then anyone watching or listening, then stop everything and go and watch it, and then come back and hit play. Just push play, go push play. Because it's absolutely incredible. It's such a good film. And so, yeah, but I think, as I said, more honorable mention than home theater film. And it really was just to complete a trilogy of very cool modern American Westerns.
I'm looking up what Kaleidescape has it as. HD.
I mean, it's not 4K anywhere, I don't think. I mean, Jordan, whilst you're looking, Jordan just says in the chat, a fantastic film. Hope it sees a 4K release. That would be very, very nice. It would be very welcome, but I don't know if it will.
It has, and it's the same. It's only Blu-ray quality, obviously English, PCM 5.1 on Kaleidescape as well.
Yeah, there we go.
So it's the exact same version.
And it's a quiet mix. It's a weird. It's a slightly strange mix. I did think it might be more dynamic than it was, but it doesn't take away from the excellence of the film. So but yeah, 4K would be great. We'd all buy that. It's a sort of movie you'd think that Criterion would pick up. Really. It's that kind of, it's a Coen Brothers, sort of set. You think that they would have done that, but maybe one day, fingers crossed.
Maybe. All right. Let's go to, I'm going to save my other one because that's another great one I can't wait to tell you about, but let's do this one right now. I mentioned this last week. Transformers, Rise of the Beasts on Kaleidescape, 4K, HDR, Atmos. It's a Transformers movie. It has all of that. It has, great picture, great sound. And what's interesting is I watched this entire movie, thought it was fantastic. I thought it looked great. I wasn't blown away like I was with The Flash. But that's not to say that it's not great. It just was like, okay, this looks like a Transformers movie. The sound was great. I mentioned last week, there's a scene where you hear something coming from behind you. Like you don't hear it really, you feel it. It's like boom, boom. And it's directional. You can tell it's coming from behind you to the left. And then all of a sudden it's like boom, boom. It goes right by you. And it's really, really cool. Tons and tons of stuff like that. Nice bass. Great home theater experience. And then when I was done with it, I was like, oh, let me go back to and watch the original. It is so blurry. And I have the 4K, everything. And I put the disc in, I watched the Kaleidescape version, and I'm like, it was like the image is so blurry. It doesn't pop. It's not as crisp. The colors aren't as vibrant. The lines aren't, it feels like you're watching it through like a dirty lens. But it's just because of its age, I guess, and they didn't.
Well, and they're trying to hide the effects work as well.
Probably,
I think.
Yeah. Because good point. But then you go back to this, and you're like, oh, this is a modern Transformers movie, and it looks it too. And as far as the movie goes, I was surprised at how good it was. I thought it was really good. It was very like heartfelt, a little bit like Beetle, but more action. Bumblebee, sorry. Bumblebee, like a blue beetle on the brain. But yeah, so a little bit like that, but but more Transformer, action and stuff like. You saw it, Steve, so right? Did you finish it?
I've seen, after we spoke last week, I watched about another half hour. I saw the sequence you were talking about, and I did catch that where he catches the arm. That's the outside of the university, isn't it? I've seen in total about an hour of it, and I had to stop because I got busy with something else, and I haven't been back to it. And I'm kind of not sure I will until it comes out to buy. I was struggling a little. Now, again, bear in mind, screener, front room, not in the cinema room. Okay, so again, I got it. Full disclosure.
It's as Lucy all over again.
Well, and that's possible. But it just what I was struggling with was some of the stupid humor was doing my head in. The Marky Mark thing was like, oh, really, and it began, and where I began to lose faith with it a little bit is it felt to me interesting. You say you went back to watch the original. it felt at times like it was a retread of the original, almost carbon copy. And you could take out the guy that was in The Heights. I'm sorry, I don't know the actor's name. The guy that the main chap that's in the Heights musical. You could almost just take him out, put Shia LaBeouf in, go action, and you wouldn't know the difference. And I just think after whatever it is, 6 movies, 7 movies now, and bearing in mind that Bumblebee was really good, I really enjoyed that. I just think that there needed a bit more. Now, that having said that, I am going to buy the disc when it comes out because I want to see it with properly. So it's not put me off enough to not buy the movie. But at the moment, I won't be. I don't think I'll go and finish off the screener. But just but I'm sure it's great.
I mean, you really the home theater part is a huge part of these movies. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't, it's not like meant to be watched on your phone. It's not, you need that sort of, and it helps get you into the movie because it's about fun, technology, all of that stuff. And your room is part of that technology. So it's like, just watching this I would never watch this in my living room. I'd be like, oh yeah, get off. And then you're looking for something else in the story, like entertain me here because I need my room's not doing it. So that's a tough one to take in like that.
Yeah, quite. And as I said, I mean, I wouldn't have gone to the cinema to see it. It just would not have enticed me to it. But as I said, I think, I will buy the disc. I've got all the others in 4K, exactly as you have. And so I will definitely buy it. I'll give it another go. But yeah, I was losing the faith a little bit there. And there's so much good stuff out at the moment that again, you're like, well, I don't need to watch mediocre when I've got excellence. And I can always circle back to this when the disc's available. And judging by, the way Paramount are approaching it, we probably will get the disc quite soon. I imagine it'll be September, October, and we'll have it. So, not too long to wait, I don't think.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. So, and there was something else I was going to say about it. I can't remember. Oh, well. But really, I enjoyed it. And glad I saw it. Let's see. Here we go, John. Take it away.
1 to 7. Go.
All right.
1 to 7.
Are we saving 7? Are we going to all talk about that? Okay.
No, we'll talk about that again. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, over the last 12 days or so, I watched Mission Impossible 1 through 7. We'll save 7, I guess, like I said, for a few minutes. We'll all talk about that because that was obviously the new one in the theaters. Given the fact that I watched all these movies basically back to back to back to back, they've all sort of run together into one big giant mission that is ultimately possible because they always seem to find a way to make them happen. So I can't really get into the nitty gritty of each individual movie because I don't even really at this point remember what happened.
Which is which?
Come on, timestamps.
So what is there about 800 minutes of movie total? And but for those that don't know, on 4K disc, the first 4 movies are in master audio, and then the last 2 movies are in Dolby Atmos. And I did think that made a difference. While they were all great, I did feel like the last 2 movies, the audio experience was a bit elevated because of the Dolby Atmos. Even though we are upmixing, into Neural X, I did notice a difference. And, as these things progressed, obviously the years were ticking away. The quality did, the first movie looked great, sounded great, but number 6 looks better. and sounds better, because the technology is just improving as they're making these movies. But as an entire experience, these movies are phenomenal. Most of us have seen them all, although I had to admit there was 2 of them I hadn't seen. 4 and 5 I had actually never watched, which were the 2 Jeremy Renner outings. And I actually really liked all of them. I don't think any of them, I thought they were all fairly even. Like, I don't think any one movie stood out to be like, well, this is the best of the franchise and this is the worst of the franchise.
Right. Because they all have their pluses and minuses.
They do, but you can clearly pull 2 out of the mix a little bit as far as the feel of that movie. Like, the other 5 movies all feel pretty similar. like from movie 2 to 3 and onward, he forgot how to do all his spinning kicks and all the stuff he was doing in number 2. He kind of forgot how to do all that stuff for the
Well,
next
he had to do that because his
5
hair
movies.
had to flow.
Yeah. And I don't think 2 is a bad movie, but it definitely feels different. Like it's out of place. It's a bit out of place when you're watching them all like that. But they were all great. They were all fun. Like I said, I don't think any of them are necessarily stand out. But they're all solid, all solid experiences and solid movies. And this was a great time. Like I had a blast watching all of these. Back to back.
2 is a strange one. I think you can tell that 2 had production problems and was tinkered with quite heavily after the fact. I think it does show that it shows kind of it's very choppy story, very strangely kind of put together. But it's still, like you say, DJ, and you're right, it does have its charms. And I mean, there are some quite fun bits, and even the motorcycle tires are quite fun to keep an eye out for. As we talked about. But yeah, 2 is a curiosity amongst them. But
it's also Woo though too. I mean, he's the most stylized director of all of them, right? I mean, but they all have what De Palma did the first one. You have Woo.
J.J. Abrams.
Then it's J.J. and then it's the cue from there, isn't it?
But they all tend I thought, and you'll hear next week. Next week we talk about this a little bit, but I thought the first one, as I said when I talked about it a few weeks ago, it really felt like the show, and it gave you that vibe. But then after that, it was like clearly once you go to like John Woo, you're like, holy, you're getting away from it.
Right? It's a superhero movie.
You're getting away from everything then, right? And it was. And then you go into once you get into what 3 is, and then
Abrams
we go to
3,
and then Rogue Nation, I think, right?
Yeah, then Ghost Protocol.
Yeah, they start getting named at
Fallout.
4. Yeah,
at 4 they start getting named, and that's when you start doing all the stunts, and it's like the show's the movie's based off of whatever Tom Cruise wants to do. Right. So I guess supposedly the next one he's in space. I guess that's the big stunt. No, for real. It's supposed to be.
He's trying to, isn't he? Yeah, he's trying to. So Paul Hurt just says in the chat, 2 looks like a Hallmark movie in places. And VJ, actually interesting. He says, this is interesting. So VJM says in the chat, MI2 is the weakest. It's the only one I didn't purchase. I'm surprised about that. I think if you're going to have them, you've got to have them all. Surely.
That's.
I mean, they are available separately, aren't they? But you can get them in the box set.
Yeah, so I bought the box set, but.
Yeah, that's funny.
I would have thought you'd have to. Yeah, I would have thought it's certainly not bad enough that you wouldn't.
My OCD wouldn't allow me to not.
Yeah, quite.
No.
And have number 2.
Honestly, Limp Bizkit in 2 is great. That
you bought it just for the Oakley sunglasses, Deej. We know
that too. I loved that opening. It's just it is fun. It is
fun. It is fun. Yeah. But like I said, it really stands out from the bunch.
Yeah.
It does utilize the mask gag very well. I think I do like that little bit at the end where, again, we won't spoil it, but the bit where where it turns but where the masks are used in quite an inventive way, that's quite good. I like how that's done. And of course that then cuts to the Mission Impossible music as well, doesn't it? As he's legging it. And I quite like that too. I think that's probably my favorite bit of 2. And you're right, John. The capoeira type stuff is all a bit odd. We're on a beach in Australia doing some sort of capoeira stuff. And what's also funny about it is Tom Cruise being a slight chap, shall we say? He's not the tallest. I'm careful because he's the same height as you, John. So I'm careful as I'm saying it.
I know, but still. But I'm not a movie star, so
yeah. Well, but what they have to do is he has to jump off stuff. He can't run up to I can't think of the bad guy. He's got to jump off stuff to then look like he's taller than him. Otherwise, he just can't get there. Right. And it looks kind of weird. It's almost like the bad guy could just hold his head away from him, and then Ethan Hunt's just doing that.
Right,
exactly. So that is quite noticeable in 2. You really do see it. I suspect by 3 onwards, they've just picked short people to fight for it.
Yeah, and they're filming from up. From low angles.
But it is noticeable in 2. If you watch, he's always jumping off stuff.
Yeah. John Krasinski is never going to be in one of his movies.
Well, and I just need to do a super
He's like
cut
6'4".
Yeah.
a supercut of him running now after all 7 movies.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
gotta
I've
do
seen
it.
that. It's so funny. Him running. It's just the most recent version of him running I thought was funny in the forest in Maverick. But in the snow, and it's like you just see it's like his head's back. It's like everything. It's just so weird to watch him run because like if you want to go fast, you're supposed to put your head out in front of your feet,
Right.
so that like you're always trying to catch. He's always the other way, so he runs.
Yeah, he's running backwards.
Yeah, but he's doing cinematic running, not real running. That's
Well,
the
he's
thing,
the
isn't it?
only one that does it that way.
Well, he does. He does.
It's like at least he doesn't
Trademark.
run like Phoebe, but yeah,
Run, Tommy, run.
yeah. You guys want to just move right on into Mission
Might as well while we're here.
7 while we're here.
Yeah.
So
why not?
I saw it again, but you guys have now seen it. I talked about it last week. Let me know your thoughts.
John, do your thing, and I'll jump in.
Well,
Do your
I
thing.
mean, I thought it. Again, I didn't see this in a Dolby Atmos theater or anything like that. I just saw it at my little, my little cheap theater that I go to. So I can't really speak to what this is going to be like at home. Although I can guess that it will be on par or better than the other 6 that we just got. I thought this movie was super fun. I really enjoyed it. It doesn't really stand out. Again, they're all kind of the same, right?
Yeah.
In that, like, I just think it's fun. I don't necessarily think it was better than any of the other ones either. But definitely not worse than them.
Right. What did you think of it being a part 1?
I don't know if it's a spoiler. I don't know if it's a spoiler to say the villain is AI. I think most people
Yeah.
It's been talked about in interviews.
It's been talked about. And so that's interesting, right? Because we've never had that before, but it definitely feels timely. I did feel like it was the height of laziness to call it the Entity. Spoilers, I'm sorry, but like it irritated me every time that was mentioned. Like, call it Bob, call it anything, but like that's the
Bob
laziest
would have been
writing
too on
in
the nose
world.
from Maverick.
Yeah.
We already had a Tom Cruise
Yeah.
Bob.
to just call it the Entity, I thought was
HAL 9000.
Yeah.
that would have been bad. I thought that was super lazy. But yeah, everybody's back.
Ultron.
The whole cast is back. Interestingly, because as I mentioned, I had not seen 4 and 5 previously, and I didn't get them in before I saw this movie. I ended up seeing this after number 4, I guess. Maybe I'd watched 4, but I still had 5 and 6 when I went to see this.
Yep.
And so I had never actually met Rebecca Ferguson's character, who shows up in. Well, maybe it was. When does she show up in 4? I don't remember. I don't remember, but I had never seen her. So, like, my first introduction to her in the movie was kind of like, okay, I don't really know who she is, but yeah. So for me, that was a little out of, like, I saw it a little out of order. But all the major characters are back: Simon Pegg and Ving Rhames and everybody. Haley Atwell, I thought, was a great addition.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Super fun. I think it will be great at home. But like I said, I didn't see this in a theater that really showed off any of the audio or things that it's going to be capable of. So,
What'd you think, Steve?
I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it a lot, and I'm looking forward to seeing it again. But I won't see it in the cinema again. I will wait for 4K, and I think it will be a great disc. It could be like Maverick, not far off. It's a Paramount release. It should be really decent. They're good at their recent 4K discs. Interestingly, apart from the train sequence at the end, again, that's not a spoiler because they've done featurettes on that. And so apart from the train sequence at the end, which I think is really, really good, what I was most interested and most engaged during this movie was during the the scenes where they are discussing the entity, and I know not using the term. So the bit in the airport where it kind of shows what it can do, the bit in the club where it shows I found that really interesting, and something I hadn't really thought about AI before. This idea that we we've all got our phones in our pockets. We've all got we look at stuff through screens every day, and all of us, I think, just assume that's real. That's what's happening. Right. And I never really thought about the idea that you could make something and someone either appear or disappear. And if AI could do, and I found that fascinating, and I like how, and it's actually interesting where I think this was a deliberate attempt to go back to the first one, not only with Kittredge, who again is in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler, but they go back to the Dutch angles that De Palma used. So whenever they're talking about something that's off kilter and unusual, the camera goes to Dutch angles, so everything moves like that, and that's supposed to show sort of paranoia and uncertainty and danger, and I thought that was really effective. I was most engaged at that point.
Steve, what makes you say that? I mean, are you sure? Well, I mean, come on.
Yeah, well, I'll turn like this. I'll just turn the monitor, turn the camera. So I thought that was really interesting for a big summer blockbuster. Actually, Brain was engaged, and I was fascinated about how actually, I mean, we're talking now. I'm assuming you two are both there where you say you are. Right. But the idea that it could be anybody, or they could just erase you, was just fascinating to me. And
so I got erased a few minutes ago.
That's it. Well, that's it. And I had mentioned the entity. But it's like, and after, as I left, I'm sort of picked up my phone and I'm thinking, so how do I know what's at the end of that is actually who I think, Anyway, so I really enjoyed that. And again, I like the deliberate, I think, homage to the De Palma movie when they do the off-kilter Dutch angles. And then the train sequence, I think, in the end is exceptional. I mean, all that is just breakneck sort of, storytelling. I love again, spoiler free, but I love how Cruise turns up on the train. That was brilliant. I thought that was very funny and it's just so completely fun. Out of nowhere. And that was great. And so, very, very good. And
completely lacks the precision of Gemini Man. And then
indeed. Less about Gemini Man, the better, I think. But what I like is that, and I do like how it's a complete story. I like that there's not really a cliffhanger. And I understand from an interview I read this week that Cruise had said specifically, this must not be a cliffhanger. This has to be a complete story. We're not going to cheat the audience and worry and make them come back. We're going to want them to come back, but we're not going to force you to. Right. And I think that was quite good.
It does leave you wanting the rest of the story.
Right, there's questions.
Yeah, it's definitely not over. But,
But you knew right at the beginning how this was, not how it was going to end, but you knew that the story arc right at the beginning, and you almost knew, okay, I know what part 2 is about. And that was early on in the movie, which is great. I mean, it doesn't ruin it for you because you're there for the fun and the action and all of that. It's like, how do you get, point A and point Z. You just don't know all the stuff in the middle. And one of the things I thought was super interesting is they took the delay and the time and everything, and they used, like on the image we're showing on YouTube, is that jump. They use that to entertain us and show us how it was done. So like the most spectacular stunt in the entire movie, you knew. But how was it going to be in the movie? And then when they start to show you how it is, there's 2 characters. There's a character in the movie that you are part of that character. You know what Tom Cruise is going for, right? And Tom Cruise is like, where am I going? And they're like, don't worry about it. And you as the viewer are laughing like, oh my God, this is great, because you know what they're building to. And I thought that was a fun way to entertain the audience. Even using months and months ago, right? Going back and using that YouTube video, using the trailer and using like, this is what we did, how we did it. So you know all about it. It was funny. My daughter didn't know that. She had never seen that stuff. So she was just like, what is he going to do? I was like, what? But
actually, John,
I thought that was
John Thompson in the chat just brings back something that I had forgotten. So Birmingham is a city in the centre of England, and it says, so a lovely welcome from Tom Cruise in Birmingham. He pulled up at the Grand Hotel, jumped out of his car, went to check in, and they stole his car. He'd only been there for 5 minutes. Your mission, Mr. Hunt, should you choose to accept it, retrieve the vehicle.
Right. I guess I'm staying longer.
Yeah, that's it. I'm not making that choice.
Yeah. Wow. That's funny.
But yeah, no, it was really good. It was a solid entry in the series, and again, I thought it was really good. But I did like the entity stuff. Not the name of it, John. I get that it is lazy. It's a bit like in Avatar when they start talking about unobtainium. You're like, is this all you could come up with? Right. Really? Is this what we're calling it? I get that. But I did enjoy it.
The name Avatar. They named the movie what every one of those characters are. They're avatars. And it's like you couldn't have come up with something. It's just Avatar. It should have been Avatars.
Yeah. It's as if Spielberg went back to 1975 and decided to just call it Shark.
Yeah. Well, it went with the biggest part of them, Jaws.
Yeah. So, I mean. To be fair, in Spanish, it is called tiburón, which is shark.
Yeah.
So they did get very unimaginative in Spain. But yeah, no, it's really good. I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I think it deserves the success it's having. I don't know how much legs it'll have because it's such a long film. I don't know how kind of many people will go back. Although I do know several. Having said that, including you, DJ, John Thompson in the chat, saw it twice in 2 nights. So maybe people will, but I don't know. I've got a funny feeling it's going to disappear quite quickly within the next couple of weeks, and then it'll be. Then we get it on disc quicker. So we're all
There's
good.
So much.
Well,
I don't know. I agree, though. It didn't feel like I never felt 3 hours.
Right.
It really didn't.
Yeah. No.
Even the second time I saw it, I didn't feel like because you're like
it really did keep you going.
Yeah, you were entertained. It's humorous.
Especially the last 45 or so minutes of it.
Oh
which is kind of when you think it would be starting to feel long, but then it just grabs you by the throat and drags you to the end of the movie.
That's funny. I like that.
Yeah. So John Thompson in the chat says the train sequence was shot on the North Yorkshire Railway at the same time as the Dial of Destiny. So in some multiverse, Indiana Jones meets Ethan Hunt and fights the Nazis. Hey, there's always Dead Reckoning Part 2.
Yeah, I'd watch that movie.
Who needs space? Let's have Ethan Hunt fighting Nazis.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it was great. Roll on the disc. Roll on the disc.
Yep. All right. Who's up next? Do you want to do Steve? Why don't you?
Yeah.
Plane.
Yes, indeed. Now, previously on the Bright Side podcast, I had said when I saw this on a screener that it was crap.
You did. I
did. I
think you said.
Times. And it's still that. However, I did say
the whole
I do
theater
believe
doesn't eliminate that part.
No, unfortunately not.
The theater experience.
It's just racist in Dolby Atmos.
It's not just me. This film was banned in the Philippines. This film got banned in the Philippines because they thought it was racist as well. So it's not just me, to be fair. But anyway, so I had said it was crap, and I did say I'm never going to see it again. And then I bought the 4K disc when it came out, and I saw it again. So never listen to what I say.
I try not to, but you keep coming back to the
show. Typical lawyer, you see. It depends on day of the week as to what I'm arguing. It's fine.
What side was I on?
Whatever. It's fine. So, Plane in 4K Dolby Atmos on disc. It's a Lionsgate release, and movie is better the second time. It's not great, and it's not one of Butler's best by any means. Another Gerard Butler movie, of course, but it's better. It's a bit more excusable the second time when you know what's coming and you can just kind of let that go a bit. But worth seeing if you can get it cheaply. Don't pay full price for this, is what I would say. If you unless you know it's your sort of film. But interestingly, the disc makes it better. So this is good news. So the home theater presentation is decent. Video-wise, nice. The jungle foliage looks quite good. There are moments where they're all sweaty and you can see every bead of sweat, and there are cuts on the actors and stuff. So that looks all good. So that's good. But the audio is what really makes this. And again, I've got timestamps because I'm so keen. So we've got there's one at 14. I
can't wait to get your timestamps on Transformers: Rise of the Beasts.
Yeah, it was just only went up to 60 minutes.
Right. No, when you see it in your theater, you're going to be like, "This is the greatest thing ever." Godfather, Transformers: Rise of the Beasts.
Yeah, well, you've got form on that, D. You've got form on that. I think Paul Hurt nearly choked on his cereal when you said that. I don't know if he raised it with you when you spoke to him. Anyway, so quick timestamps on this one fairly quickly then. So at 14 minutes and 20 seconds, we've got the weather is what I've entitled it, which is where the plane, I mean, again, it's in the trailer and it's in the picture I'll show you there. The plane crashes, and it's weather that causes this issue. So suddenly you get a nice kind of out of nowhere turbulence hits the plane. If you're afraid of flying, this probably isn't necessarily the home theater experience for you, because you get turbulence, you get the subs go crazy. You've got, oddly, you can hear the lightning outside. Seems a bit strange if you're in a plane. You're never going to be there around long enough to hear the lightning. You will already have gone past. Anyway, it's not realistic. That's fine. But you've got lightning and you've got turbulence and you've got the engines gunning and all that's going on around. So the theatre room suddenly just starts going absolutely crazy, which is really nice. There is a little bit more subtlety at the 45-minute mark. They're in a jungle and you've got Gerard Butler and Mike Coulter. They're walking through the jungle and you can hear the various animals and stuff. So that's quite a nice kind of subtle thing. But then it brings the real heat, because at 1 hour 20, we get a rescue attempt where various special forces soldiers decide to descend, and then it goes absolutely bananas. So you get gunshots going everywhere, all different caliber weapons and everything going off all around. And that's actually a really decent action scene. And then just lastly, then at the 1 hour 25 mark, we get my favorite. So we get a 50 cal sniper rifle, which kind of comes out of nowhere-ish. And I mean, obviously it's not realistic, but what you do get is a nice beefy punch when it fires. And you also, it then shows what it theoretically could do to someone when it hits them. And there's a few of these.
Theoretically.
And it sounds really it's a bit silly in that it blows the bodies like 20 feet down the road. It's a little bit silly, but it sounds great. And you guys know what I'm like with my gunfire. All I want is something with
even when
real,
it's in space, it's got to match perfectly.
Yes, absolutely. Of course. And so it really does sound great. That gun is particularly cool sounding, and really, really worth it. So it's a fun disc and an enjoyable movie. The previous caveats notwithstanding, but it's decent. And again, you can get it for a good price. So I would recommend this because it's a good home theater experience, if not a great movie. So we'll recommend.
Nice, cool.
There we go.
There you go. Nice job. Yeah, I love the image. The plane's like losing power, and they put it on the seat back camera.
Yeah,
screen. Hey, everybody, look what's going on outside.
Well, what's cool about the menu is this menu. It's obviously a moving menu, as you can tell, and it begins very strangely on something I haven't seen before. It begins with like a stewardess going, "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for choosing whatever the airline is.
Yeah.
You're about to watch the film Plane with Gerard Butler." And it then starts the thing. And it's quite, it's like, okay, that's quite different.
Wow.
It's a little bit weird and fourth wall breaking.
Did it know where your exit was?
Yeah, well, quite, yeah. Yeah, that's it. Points them out in your cinema room.
To the back and to the left.
Yeah. And it made me put my seat in the upright position. It was really awkward. Actually, that's awesome. More you, isn't it, Deej?
Yeah.
No reclining always. During the film, please.
Never reclining when I watch a movie. Never, ever. And people have argued with me about it. Why? That's stupid. But that's why I want to sit. Arguing with me. I wear shoes.
The issue is to be able to have the choice. You don't want one of these set sofas where one goes back, they all go back. You want to have your individual seats. So then you take your choice. Do what you like.
Yeah. My next theater, I think I'm going to do bleachers. That's when the budget ran dry.
Just benches.
Like two 5-gallon buckets and a plank.
Home Depot buckets.
Yeah, or just boxes.
You just be like, Oh my God, that's funny. And Paul, talk about unimaginative movie titles. Nice segue.
Yeah, Played.
That's honestly, that's what turned me off right away. When I saw it come out, it was available on Kaleidescape really quickly. I think as a prime rental, or you could purchase it early or whatever. And I was like, Plane? That's all they could come up with. And I love Gerard Butler, but I was waiting to hear what people said about it. And then the reviews weren't very good either. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll wait a little longer. So
it's on IMDb, it talks about how he fought to keep
a bus
Plane
bench.
there.
See?
Bus bench.
Yep.
The Bright Side movie coming to a theater near you.
I guess I have to do it now.
But he fought for that title to keep it that just one word. They were going to check. They had all kinds of different titles, but he fought to say, no, I just want it plain. So yeah, plain by name, plain by nature. But yeah, there we go.
Oh yeah. All right. I got one here that really surprised me. Asteroid City on Kaleidescape, 4K, HDR, Dolby Atmos, variable aspect ratios, and it's awesome. I honestly, my wife and I watched this the other day. Neither of us still know what it's about.
It's Paul Thomas Anderson, isn't it?
Wes Anderson.
Oh, Wes Anderson. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we're like, it was entertaining. It was funny. You got to be paying attention to get, there's so much stuff. The variable aspect ratio, you cannot watch this and put masking up because it's not even shot. It's shot to be watched as a full 16:9, and then because it all means something. It's different. There's black and white shots. There's color shots. The color is completely, I kind of took the picture that way too, like blown out. Like the desaturation in the color is a lot of, I enjoyed it. You're going to be like, what the heck? Like at the end of it, but it's funny. It was entertaining. And it's even entertaining. You're like, what is going on here? And the cast in it, I don't have it in front of me, but it's Scarlett Johansson, it's everybody. Steve Carell, Liv Schreiber,
Tom Hanks.
Oh my God. Tom Hanks, hysterical. There's just so many people in it that you're like, Matt Dillon. Matt Dillon, there was a time, my wife didn't agree with me, but there was a time in it where I was like, it felt like it was like Saturday Night Live skits, like from one scene to the next. And it's like, because you're watching the actors, I really felt like this was a movie where the actors were just having fun doing the movie too. And it is really good. There's a lot of stuff in the background that you have to pay attention to, stuff that goes on in the background. And you're like, what did that mean? And then at the end of the movie, you're like, it didn't mean anything. Just stuff's going on. And it was just, but it really should be watched in your theater. Okay. And there's a scene. Oh man, who was it? I forget who Jeffrey. Jeffrey Wright. He does this scene and he has to walk to the microphone. Okay. And I'm going to set it up like this here. So he walks up to the microphone and he's talking to everybody, but he's in a big auditorium, like big space area, and the sound's going out. So you in your room hear him talking into the mic. It feels centrally located, but it's going around you as well because you're in the audience. But then for no reason in the movie, he goes, now I'm going to talk to, and he just starts his dialogue over here, or his monologue, and he's talking over here. But the sound pans and goes away because he's now not on the mic. Then he does it on this side. And it is awesome. And you're sitting there like home theater people, you're going to be like, oh my God, that was so much fun. But it's like no meaning to the movie. It was just like, let's do this for the audio engineers, right? And it was just so much fun. And then my wife's just laughing because I was just like, this is great. This is awesome. Then it happens with I forget her name. She does the same thing later on. Same microphone situation. She does the same motions. The voice pans. They have split screen conversations, and the voices are on where they should be, not completely on to the side, but they're like, you can hear one's a little, center left, center right. It was just really a lot of fun. A very artistic movie, like for the home theater. And like I said, at the end, I keep meaning to go look it up. Like, what the hell did this thing mean? But it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun in the theater. So let's see what's that.
Yeah, so Jordan says in the thing, he had such an incredibly entertaining experience with his friend watching Asteroid City at the cinema. Absolutely stunning visuals.
Yeah, it is. And the audio in your theater, in Atmos, it's not like a ton of it's not an action movie, but they utilize it. I liken it to like Gravity, where the Atmos and Gravity, where they utilize that room so well in quiet times. They do the kind of the same thing here. It is so good. So good. It's had such a good time with it. So I'm glad to hear that you really enjoyed it, because it's interesting, because I only saw the trailers and I found the trailers incredibly irritating. Well, to the point where it just looked quirky for quirky's sake, and that's not always a thing to sell it to me, and by not always I mean never. So it just looked too quirky, and I genuinely was like, no. So saying that it's good, then that actually means it actually might make me now want to see it at some point in the very distant future, maybe. Because I'm not a big. Right now, this is where I upset the world. Everybody in the world, close your ears. I'm not a big Wes Anderson fan. I don't quite get it. Exactly, and that's Wes Anderson. Jordan says Wes Anderson is an incredibly visionary director, and he's an artist, right? So he's like, and I get it. You don't get it. I know you have that kind of thinking. You and I are like opposite like that. I love the artistic stuff, and you're like, it was shot in Spain. I live there. I don't like that, right? You can't. No, and I'm not making fun of you. That's part of your personality. That's who. Yeah, no, but you know what I mean? Where it's like, I'm like, you could shoot it at my house, and I'd be like, I thought I was in space. I'm like, because I just want to go for the ride, right? So it's like, there's no right or wrong, but yes, I like at the end of this, I had so much fun, but I still have no idea.
They're all jumping on the bandwagon, Deej.
Yeah. What?
Carl says, I think we already know that, Steve.
Yeah. So, all right.
Yeah. Well, I'm at least now interested, Deej, whereas previously I wasn't. So you may have sold one 10-minute viewing. Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Is there a highlights? Is there a kind of a
no.
What's the cheat sheet? I'll just watch that.
No,
the edited highlights.
No, because you have to consume.
I'm kidding.
There's actually this little. I don't want to give it away. Just that you have to enjoy the whole thing. You can't, and it is one of those things like you can't do in multiple sittings, because you got to sit down. It's an hour 45, I think, and just because I started it in the opening, I had a check. I'm like, where's my audio? There's nothing. There's no sound. I think something was disconnected. Then when the picture came on, I was like, oh crap. What crap? Like something broke because it's so blown out. So I had to back out, go and watch something else. I'm like, okay, that looks perfect. Okay, come back into it. And then that's when I went and got Jen. I go, let's start this. So it is so good, and it is out there. So I can't wait for other people to see it and be able to talk about it.
I've got some backup. Thanks, John.
I hate it. It is nonsense.
I hated it.
So John says, Steve, don't worry, I hated it. It's total nonsense. You're not alone here. So Carl then says, give Steve the coloring book. Ow. and Joseph comes in with the coup de grace and no pen for Steve.
No pen for Steve.
Damn.
Oh, good stuff. That's good.
Actually, I was going to say, John, you know that the doorbell rang. Was that your pen arriving in the post?
It was not, I have to say.
No, your pens are coming in a gift package. Don't you worry.
Ooh.
Yes,
There you go.
it's going to be a
Monogrammed.
little bit. I'm a couple week or two. I should have everything
I'm
in house
intrigued.
to ship.
Yeah, so stick that in your pipe and smoke it, Joe.
Yeah, there you go. All right, we ready to get to? I don't know what the show title is going to be, but we've all seen this. We've all had fun with it. Steve was the first one, so we'll lead off with Steve. You saw it 1080p disc, DTS Master Audio 5.1, and we are talking about Battle Los Angeles.
Yeah, by the way, you know how sometimes we're talking and when you talk and like, so we then get distracted, don't we? We don't always pick up. You had a real zinger last week that I completely missed. Whilst John and I were talking about something, you came in with something like, it's not called Battle like Miami or Battle Los Angeles or something like that. And it was great. And I missed it completely. And when I listened back, it was very, very funny. So sorry, we trampled all over your killer line.
No,
So
we
killer,
do
he
that
doesn't even remember it.
I don't remember. Let me go back and listen, and I'll
don't
come
either.
back and redo it, just like John and I did with Thor.
Yeah.
I heard this one the other day.
It was fun.
No,
So,
we do it all
yeah.
the time. It's fun to listen back, and you'd be like, I didn't even hear that. I didn't know that.
So as we've said, Battle Los Angeles. Blu-ray disc. It's not out on 4K Blu-ray. It's only in DTS HD Master Audio. On disc, I think Kaleidescape has something different. So DTS Master Audio
Literally
5.1. Yeah. So I saw this now a couple of weeks ago because I think basically Viewing Buddy had seen something about it on YouTube and just said, "Oh, can we watch that?" I was like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, no problem." And so we watched it at full tilt, proper my reference level, for my room, and. Yeah, really enjoyed it. It's a film I've seen loads of times. I saw it in the cinema. I've seen it multiple times before. I don't think I'd seen it in the cinema room, at least not this iteration of it. So this was first time on a bigger screen and then in upmixed to Neural X. The film is good. I think it's not one of the best alien invasion movies. I still prefer things like Independence Day and stuff like that. But it's good for what it is, and it does at least try to, I think, humanize the people involved, and it does try to get you to care about the characters. It doesn't do kind of what Black Hawk Down does, where you can't really tell one from another, no matter how many times you've seen it, unless it's a star playing the role, you can't really tell one from another, and they're all just kind of, meld into one. Whereas I think this does actually make an effort to get you to care about the people and differentiate. And the effects are showing their age a little bit. It's quite blurry. And again, it's funny you talk about what the effects look like in the first Transformers. I think in this, there's a bit of that as well. There's quite a bit of motion blur to hide the fact that it's all a bit, it's not top-notch CGI. But it's still a good film, and it's enjoyable enough, and it's a fun home theater movie. Video-wise, it's all right. There's nothing in the Blu-ray that I would write home about. I think it looks okay. You're not going to, the still image actually on the screen, that was taken from the thing, like that's a screen grab. And I think that makes it look a bit better than it actually is. So it's okay. And I wouldn't really recommend it as a video experience. But the audio is where this is at. And I think most people that have seen it talk and rave about the audio. And again, because I'm keen, a couple of quick timestamps. We've got one at the 55-minute mark where there's been talk about the fact that the aliens don't have... This is odd, right? Tell me, this has got to be a plot hole, isn't it? They talk about they've got no air superiority. They've got no air force. And you're like, yeah, but how did they get here? How did they do that?
They could fall. They just couldn't fly.
Yeah, it's just what?
It's like Moonfall. They jumped off their planet and they just fell.
Landed. Yeah. It's like, that was always like, what would possibly make you think they've got no air power when they've just traveled across the universe? Anyway, so that's an aside. So this, at 55 minutes, we realize, they do have air power, and you get this amazing effect then when all these sort of flying ships come overhead and they go diagonally across the room, right over the head, and you almost duck as they go over, and it's almost like the filmmakers going, yeah, see, you haven't had enough of this, so have it all in once. And it just goes whoosh, 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 and there's a number of them all in one go, which was very cool. We then get my favorite, chain guns, at an hour and a half, where you've got this personnel carrier thing, and they've got these big guns on top, which are great. And in fact, that scene reminded me of Aliens, where there's the bit where they've got the APC thing and they're driving down the alleyways and the creatures are all there. It was very similar to that. But then you've got this big thumping great 50 cal, whatever it is, on the top, which was really good. You then get at 1:43. There's a scene in sewers where you've got echoey sound effects and you've got water dripping, and you can and that was really nice as well, and sort of lightning-y kind of fitzing and stuff, which was really good. And then lastly, that was 1:37, and at 1:43 we then get the command and control module, which again spoiler-free-ish, where another one of these where it's big thumping bass as this thing arrives, and that was really nice as well, and made the whole room rock, which was great. This is a disc to buy for the audio, I think, rather than maybe the video. Although the video is not bad, it's just that the audio is very good. I recommend it for that. What did you guys think? John hadn't seen it, so what did you think, John?
I hadn't seen it, so this was my first time watching it, and I think. You're talking about the video, and yes, I agree with some of the blurriness, like with some of the CGI and things like that. But I actually thought the picture quality, I thought this disc rivaled almost any 4K disc that I've seen when it comes to video and audio. Now, to be fair, this could have something to do with the cookie I ate about an hour before I watched the movie. but you guys both talked about home theater. For me, this was my home theater experience of the year. Nice. I have very rarely felt as immersed in a movie as I did with this. And granted, most of it is due to the audio and not the visuals. But I literally felt like I was in the middle of everything that was going on behind me, in front of me, around me. I really, really had a great time. I enjoyed this way more than I ought to have enjoyed it, probably. But honestly, I just sat here watching this movie, and I just felt like I was right there. I felt like I was running with those guys. I was totally immersed in this, and I think the audio on this was fantastic. And like I said, and I thought the video quality was pretty sharp. I thought some of those visuals looked 4K quality. The movie itself, like you said, it's a bit corny, The two or three "Oh Captain, My Captain" moments towards the end of the movie were really corny.
You've got to be my brave little Marine.
Yeah, it did not hit on the emotional level I think it was trying to hit.
Even with the cookie. But all that being said, it was an action movie. I thought the story was great. I just felt like it should have stayed away from the emotional moments that it tried to pull off at the end. That's not what this movie was about. This was a straight up action movie. And I loved it. I had a great time with it. So, DJ?
I agree. I had a blast with it. Always do. Like I said last week, I go, it's one of my Battleship, one of my guilty pleasures. It is a lot of fun. It's the audio. I mean, I can't say any more about the audio. It is that good. And it's one of those movies that I like you're going to point to be like, see, you don't need Atmos to have an enveloping experience.
No, it was so enveloping.
Yeah. And it's like you said, Steve, with your stamps, and it's when they're flying over and our systems, they can put it to the overheads. So you're getting that same experience. It's panning around the room. The bass in this I thought was really good. It's not Lucy level, but it doesn't need to be. I thought the gunfire was very accurate. You could tell which guns were being fired, different, calibers, different space guns, things going on. I thought it was a lot of fun audio wise, but I was lucky. The graphic here, I don't have a graphic for 4K UHD. So Kaleidescape does have movies in just UHD, as you guys have seen. And most of their movies all come out. You can have the 4K version, or you can have 4K HDR or 4K UHD. And I know Travis, who's been on the show, Travis Balsat, he has actually used, I forget which movie it was. It might have been Mario Brothers or something. Super HDR, like high contrast. And he doesn't have an HDR projector. So he was like, that was the first movie he said he had to go back to the UHD so that it would look right. And he did. I can't remember what movie it was, but anyways, this movie only is in UHD. So I didn't have HDR. I had, just 4K, but in a, ultra HD version. And it was beautiful. I kept checking. I'm like, yeah, it says UHD, and I looked, and with that UHD usually it also means it's 709 color. It's not 2020. Of course, the Lumigen's bumping that up anyways. But when I pull it up on the Lumigen, I look and I'm like, yep, it's 4K, 709 color, and I'm like, and then it up converts it. But I mean, you can only do what you can do. But I thought the colors, the gradations, everything looked really, really nice. And to like what John was saying, I was fascinated with the picture. I had never seen this on the Kaleidescape. I've seen it many times before, but it just looked fantastic. And I think part of that is to do with, I mean, when you go to a 110-inch screen and you go to 4K, does make a difference at that level. You're going to get a crisper picture than you would if you're doing 1080. So it's really, really good. I was a little bit more surprised than I thought I would. I knew it was going to be good, but I was like, wow, this is really good. I was really surprised. So I agree with you, John. I thought the picture had a lot in it that you can take away, details in the background. But you're right, Steve. I mean, there is blurring and stuff going on, but like you said, it's mostly motion. And they're just like it pans or
you never really get a full
effects.
Good look at the aliens or,
Yeah, and they have a sort of shimmery stuff that's trying to hide it too, I think.
A lot of District 9. I mean, it felt like a lot of District 9, like it wasn't no steady cam. It was all like handheld cameras. So like you felt like you were there. Like that's probably why John's in his living room with a 123-inch screen and cookies. So and in a steady, where you're using a handheld camera and they're filming everything, and John was probably shaking watching. It's like because the whole thing moves, and and I thought with the 4K, I thought it actually punched that up a little bit more because now it's moving, but you're still getting. I could see all the detail in their uniforms, everything, the dirt. At times you're like, oh, he's all cut up, and you're like, nope, that's just red smudged on his face. I could see that too, but yeah, it was really good. Really good. So, all right. Is that it for our, that's it, right, guys?
I think
our HD experiences for this week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's 2 hours right there.
Yeah.
I want to get to a few comments, but we got to cook through these, 4K
4K releases.
Yeah, we got a bunch. So let me get to those. So here we go. All right. Let me pull up one more here. 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so we'll start with this one. The Boogeyman from 1980. We got a lot of old, releases coming out. The Boogeyman in 4K, and these are coming out. Oh, hang on. There we go. 4K releases for July 25th. Got the banner going. All right. Yeah, Boogeyman, and then we also have Undefeatable from 1993. Does this look familiar to anybody?
No.
Nope.
No? Okay.
No. It looks like the sort of film that might stick in the memory if you'd seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to get a couple of those that are going to stick in your memory, John. Night Screams. Anybody? From 1987. Like I said, this week we're going into the Wayback Machine.
Yeah.
Big
into
time.
the weeds.
Yeah, big time. All right. How about this one here? One False Move from 1992.
No,
Haven't seen it.
No, nothing.
blank.
Bill Paxton and Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah, it looks like a film that would be good, but no.
I feel like I should be playing Jeopardy music or something.
Yeah.
It's like, anybody? Anyone? Okay, this one false move with Bill Paxton from 1992. It's your call, Steve. And you chose World War Z. Do we know this one, people?
Yeah. What I want to know with this is,
You didn't
does it
buzz
have the
in.
director's cut? Yeah. Does it have the director's cut, or the unrated version? Should I say? Sorry, the unrated version. Because if not, I wouldn't pick this up.
Sure.
Yeah,
I was going to bring up all the info on this, but we have so many to get to. I figured.
Yeah, you're okay.
Through, but
for me, if it's not got the unrated version, I wouldn't pick this up because the unrated one is much better. It's more violent. It's got more graphic stuff in it. Otherwise it was a PG-13 when it came out, and without the unrated version, it looks it. And
right,
but it's a shame though because it's a good film. I like this film. It's a shame there was never a sequel to it.
I've never seen it. I want to. I own it.
Yeah. In 4K or on
seen
Blu-ray?
It, but I don't know if I've seen the unrated version.
If you've seen the Blu-ray, John, you probably would have seen the unrated version.
I don't own it. No, because I don't own it.
Oh, okay.
I probably watched it on HBO or something.
It does make a difference. It is worth seeing the unrated version. As I said, it's definitely got more blood and guts.
I didn't dislike it to start with, but. But
it's just all curiously bloodless. The PG-13 theatrical one is just kind of, it's weird. The zombies are killing people and they look like they've just fallen over. Whereas in the unrated one, they brought back in the CG blood and stuff. So at least it's got some sort of impact to it. But it is a good film. Not as good as the book it's based on. The book's fantastic. But it's still a really good movie and well worth seeing. Deej, if you haven't seen it, it's worth a go. But I'd pick it up if it's got the unrated cut.
Okay. It's in HD on Kaleidescape, but I don't know which version of it. So, but all right. We also have this one. Anybody want to guess the year? Oh, you guys can see the graphics.
1901.
1980. Effects from 1980.
Looks like a sort of snuff film.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, let's move along. A little more family friendly.
Ooh.
Wasn't this out already?
Yeah, it's the original one's out here. That's the original of the two, isn't it? The Out of the Shadows is the sequel. So this is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the newer one.
Yeah, from 2014.
Yeah.
I thought it
is
wasn't
out. It's certainly out here. Yeah, it's out over here.
Huh.
Yeah. There we go.
I saw that.
Out of the Shadows, but.
Yeah, I just watched that one last week, I think. Yeah. Or a few weeks ago, I watched that one. All right. Needful Things from 1993.
Yeah. It's a Stephen King book. I've read the book.
Enamored.
Yeah, Steve, I know it's Steve. Well, I'm just trying to think. I feel like I've probably seen this.
Ed Harris, Bonnie Bedelia.
Yeah, I want to know what Ed Harris is doing messing around with Mrs. McLean. What the hell?
Yeah.
That's not Mrs. McLean. I'm telling you right now.
Bedelia. I think it
is. It's Miss Gennaro. Is that what you're saying?
No, that is Cha-Cha Maldani.
You keep your stripper name out of this.
Did you ever see that one? Where she was it's a true story.
Okay.
Oh, it's great. Cha-Cha I think it's Maldani. Cha-Cha Maldani. She was a drag racer.
Okay.
Like cars.
Well, yeah, I figured. I didn't think she was putting on men's clothes and
sprinting
running around
down the road.
Yeah,
she's racing Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Cha-Cha Maldani. That's where I knew her from before. I think, and that came out. I think before Die Hard.
She'll always be Holly Gennaro to me.
I know. That's why I said it. But that's like Helen Hunt, quarterback princess, right? Crickets. Nobody's seen that one either. Come on, people.
Twister. Joe. Twister.
Yeah.
Done.
Oh, boy. Okay. Do we know this one?
Yep. Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen it. I have.
I haven't seen that since we probably saw it in the theater.
30 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Literally.
I didn't love it. I mean, I've seen it, but I don't think it's that great.
It is 30 years ago. It was 93. So yeah.
Well, that's why because it says 30th anniversary on the disc.
Oh, does it? That was okay.
That's why
Well, I'm still pulling up images here. We got 14 movies.
Oops, we're being told off.
Yeah.
Oh,
Did we not
okay.
say that?
Well,
yeah.
What did we
was
say?
that
Oh,
one?
So I Married an Axe Murderer here.
Yeah.
But what was the last one?
Needful Things.
Needful things. Yeah.
We said,
Sorry.
yeah. I don't think we've missed one yet. But yeah, So I Married an Axe Murderer with Mike Myers, 30th anniversary edition. I'm pulling images, guys. You guys do the reading. All right. Next one. Gorgo. You know, the classic from 1961.
Well, the cover's cool.
It is.
But it's chopped. This was the image they gave me on Blu-ray.com. So I don't know.
It's the image is cool. That's the sort of poster you'd want on your wall. But I'm not sure I'd want to see the film.
No. All right. From 1953, The War of the Worlds. John, what was the anniversary of this one?
70th anniversary.
There you go. Look at that. Teamwork.
Is this the one without Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
That 70th anniversary on that. Oof. All right. From 2023, a modern one, Resident Evil Death Island.
Yeah, I've heard some good things about this. I haven't seen it. Yeah, a few people saying it was quite good. I mean, I rather enjoyed the Resident Evil live action movie from year before last. I actually thought that was quite good fun. In fact, I'm going to have to revisit that for the podcast, actually, now that I think about it. This one, I've heard good things, but I haven't seen it. Probably, is it your sort of bad guys sort of thing that you'd see or not?
I like the Resident Evil. I like the Resident Evil movies.
Yeah, I think, this is an animated one, this one.
Yeah.
I got in on the early ones. I haven't
mean, I haven't seen them all. I haven't kept up with all of them, but
right.
I'm
there was a series or something. There was
one.
like a animated series on Netflix or something.
Yes.
Wasn't there?
Yeah.
I
there was a live action one as well, wasn't there as well? There was a season 1 of a live action thing, I think, as well.
Well, maybe it was.
But I'm talking about the live action movie that was year before last. I think it was 2021, which quite faithfully adapted the second game. And it was actually pretty decent. I'm going to rewatch that for a couple of weeks' time. Sorry, just adding to my list. Sorry, guys.
There you go. All right. I swear to God, this was on the list, John. It's for you.
Oh.
Terror at
10 Killer.
10 Killer?
10 Killer.
I don't know what that is, but I like the cover.
I thought you might.
Yeah.
Time for another cookie.
Yep.
John's out. Yeah, I have no idea what it is. It's from 1986, so pretty much that wheelhouse. Pretty much what it was. So, So everybody happy with that? Terror at 10 Killer.
10 Killer. I don't know what that means, but
does it matter?
No, it doesn't matter.
Right. I'm guessing there's a murderer with a knife and somebody.
It's water.
Water,
yep.
apparently in a lake in lingerie. I guess that's how it goes, right?
Say what you see.
Exactly. All right. We also have from 2023 Justice League War World, animated series from DC Universe movie. So,
is that based on any comic series or anything like that, or is this just a complete?
There's a
new thing.
It's a title. There is a war world. That's hard to say.
I know.
Comic book storyline, but it does not look like this is following very closely that.
I really enjoy their animated stuff.
I do too.
They do a great job.
But they're generally, they take a well-known comic title and then they kind of change it a whole bunch. So,
right. So even if you've read it, you'll still be like, oh, okay. And some people want it to be a little bit more faithful, and other people like myself, I'm like, I've already read it. Give me something different.
I know The Dark Knight Returns was really good, part 1 and part 2. That was really a really nice and very faithful, I think, almost word for word. So I thought, that's really good. I like the Batman Ninja one as well. I rather like that, almost in spite of myself.
Yeah.
That was bonkers.
What is it? Murder by Gaslight? Is that the one, John?
Gotham by Gaslight.
Gotham by Gaslight. That one's good. That one's really good.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy them. So this one here from 1982, Swamp Thing.
I like this movie.
I do too, but I love this. Like, look at the image that we're getting here. It looks like it's in a laser disc sleeve or something. It's more square, and it says 4K Laser Vision Collection. This is one that I might just buy just because I like the way that looks.
Now, to be fair, I haven't seen this movie since 1982, probably.
Oh, no. You probably saw it in 84, 85.
85, yeah.
On HBO. Yeah. Your parents gone to bed.
Well, and there was the topless Adrienne Barbeau scene.
Yeah.
That as a young lad of 13 and 14, I quite enjoyed.
13, 14, 15, 16.
53, 54. But yeah,
now I'm going to get it in 4K?
Yeah. But yeah, it does. It looks like a 4K Laser Vision Collection. It does look like a retro album cover or something.
Yep. So, where is the... I have one more I have to pull up. Where'd it go? That was 15, 14. Oh, there it is. 16th. Can you imagine that? We have 16 movies this week.
That's a lot.
Yeah, 16 movies coming out on in 4K on July 25th, Tuesday, July 25th. There you go, kids.
Oh, the
Chucky
set.
4 through 7. This is only 4 through 7.
Oh.
1997 through, I think it's 97, through 96 or 97 through 2017. So there it all is for you, everybody. Like, if you're not watching on YouTube, we're staring at a lot of Chucky covers.
No, I've never got this ever. I didn't like. There are none of them that I really. I think I've seen the first one, and that's about it. But I don't understand it. As a horror fan and of this era and all the rest of it, but I never understood this. But fair play to each their own, I suppose.
Yep, absolutely.
Obviously, the fans are out there because they've done 10 of them.
Oh yeah. Oh god, they've got a following. It's a cult. It's sorry, not a cult. It's a cult classic. People love them, but I don't. I've never understood it. I don't
really either. It's not for me.
Yeah. So. All right, that will do it. I'm not going to pull up the images for Patreon and all the Twitter and stuff like that. And our Twitter handles are right there on the screen. I'm at BrightSideHT. Steve's at LegalBeagleOK. John is at John Cerconi. You can talk to us there on Twitter. If you're on Twitter or you're not on Twitter and you think it's a cesspool, give us a shot. Come on in and get into the Brightside home theater community and just stay there, and it's fantastic. Yeah.
Don't go anywhere else.
Don't go anywhere else. People don't like that. I don't have a problem with it. Yeah. As long as you haven't made Steve angry, you can be in there. So
you could be in there even if you have.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I corrected that.
You fixed that.
I fixed that.
Steve just won't know you're in there.
Yeah. But we mentioned earlier Patreon support. We could really use that to get that climbing, get this show going, and then also YouTube subscribers. When we get to 1,000, I got something special planned. So we're trying to get to 1,000. Steve, you said we're at like 916 or something like that, or
something like
we're
that.
in the low 900s right now. We need to get that up there to 1,000, and it's like, you can support us by going on the website. Links are in the show notes. You can support us monetarily by buying us a box of popcorn or going to Patreon. And again, links are in the show notes for all of this stuff. And yes, that's helpful. It's important. It'd be great to get more because this isn't cheap to run. It's getting actually more expensive because I'll talk about that later. But yeah, so there's that. But then there's also, it's super important to just tell your friends, anybody that you bump into that likes home theater. That's another way to support the show. And, wearing the t-shirts, you can go to tpublic.com. Again, links are in the show notes. You can do all that. John and Steve are modeling their t-shirts, and I actually got quite a bit from TeePublic. Not quite a bit. I didn't get a ton, but it looks like this month we sold maybe 10 t-shirts.
Nice.
It's pretty good. I think that's our biggest month. So that's really good. T-shirts, sweatshirts, stuff like that. Mugs are all there. So yeah. So there's multiple ways to support the show. And if you buy us a box of popcorn, you automatically get to push to the front of the show with your message. So you can do that.
Perhaps we should auction off the balloons. They're not going to be much use after tonight. So, $100 each. Be fine.
Yeah.
Let me know.
Yeah.
That's a starting bid.
They've got Steve.
We got bulk deals on those.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You can use them for something else, John.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to some. We have a few comments came in for the 300th show. So let's get to a few of those right now. So let's. Paint dry and Dolby Digital. All right. Anybody want to read that from Dominic?
I did the last book.
Okay, I'll read this one.
Okay.
I'll read this one. Let me shut off my AC here for a second too.
Ooh, another international.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you want me to do it, DJ? I can do it, mate. While you're doing that.
Go ahead. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so this is from. No, I won't do that. So we've had an email from Dominique en France. I won't do it in French either. That would be bad. So it says, hello and thank you. Hello, DJ. So I am a male French home theatre lover and physical media collector since 1997. Living in the northeast of France, close to the Luxembourg border. Always loved watching movies since I was a kid and saw plenty of movies at our local cinema. Scream, Wes Craven, was the first Laserdisc I imported from the USA back then, and I subsequently bought a 5.1 home theatre system, brackets Denon receiver, JM Lab speakers, and Energy subwoofer, close brackets. I remember the first scene I watched after hooking up the speakers is the first fight scene in The Long Kiss Goodnight, laserdisc between Gina Davis and a one-eyed henchman with loads of shotgun blasts and discrete effects that gave me a huge smile. And where I just said out loud, this is absolutely amazing. I've been hooked to the home theatre sound ever since. I gave all my Laserdiscs away, except a few I keep on top of my shelves and can barely watch a DVD due to the quality since I started buying Blu-rays. I switched to 7.1.4 Dolby Atmos DTS back in 2014, and I love it. I love physical media and hope it keeps going for years. I was recently blown away by the Atmos soundtrack on the 65 4K Blu-ray. Join the club. I thought the movie was very enjoyable as well, given all the poor reviews I read before I ordered it. Also enjoyed the latest Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 tremendously. Saw it with Atmos sound. Can't wait for the 4K disc to come out. That one will be a beast. I have Focal speakers, the Denon AVR A110 receiver, and a Sony OLED TV, and I'm very pleased with this setup. I attached a few pictures. I've been listening to your podcast for about 5 months. Those are terrific, very insightful, and just plain fun to listen to during my daily drive to work. I just wanted to tell you I appreciate what you're doing. Thank you so much for all your hard work. And is it possible to provide me the link of the message board room you mentioned in your last Takeaway Tuesday? I think it means Takeover Tuesday. Merci. Regards, Dominique. So there we go. Yeah, Dominique. Yeah, there we go. Fair play.
So,
awesome.
Yeah. So I think I sent his off, or I can't remember. I'm sorry, Dominic. If you haven't heard back from me, shoot me another email and I will get you into the green room. If you're on Twitter, we can get you into that community as well over there if anybody's interested in that. But yeah, great email. Thanks for, it's fun hearing from people that have been listening for a little while. And that's, it's just, it amazes me that people like they've been listening for so long or just came to the show or whatever. And you're like, oh, here's more. Yeah, a lot of fun.
And someone from another part of the world that we hadn't had a listener from previously, as far as we know. So that's cool as well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It just, that blows me away. It's but cool. World's getting smaller. So I'm enjoying it. All right. This is let me take this down. This is Mike Schramm. He says, 300th show. Hey, DJ, let's see. I've been a listener since December 2021. At that time, my receiver had been getting worked on in a repair shop for about 2 months, and I was finally going to pick it up. I was so excited to have it back that I searched home theater in the podcast app on my phone so I could listen to something HT related on my way home. Brightside was one of the first few options that popped up. I clicked on it, and the rest is history. I don't recall the movie you were breaking down in that first podcast that I listened to, but it must have been a good one because I was hooked. An HT tour in March of 22 followed, as did my first Takeover Tuesday in April. I've since done 3 more Takeover Tuesdays. Since then, I am so glad, so grateful to have found and to be a part of this home theater family. Congratulations on number 300, and here's to many more. Sincerely, Mike Schramm. P.S. Naming a favorite movie is impossible, but if I had to name one go-to scene, I think I'd say the Ready Player One race scene. And you named that one too, John, didn't you?
I did. One of my desert. It was my desert island. One of my 3 scenes on the desert island, right?
Mm-hmm. You may really enjoy Transformers. Rise of the Beasts. A lot of it feels like that movie was taken right from Ready Player One.
Oh yeah.
There's some oh yeah, I didn't mind it at all. I was like, this feels like Ready Player One, just exactly like it. And then you see Spielberg was an executive producer, and I'm sure some of the same people worked on it, but it was really good. So yeah, thank you, Mikey. Mikey's one of our biggest supporters. Supports us. He's a Patreon supporter. He supports us with boxes of popcorn, but he's also, I feel bad for people that aren't into home theater, because I think he's just like hitting them up. Like, have you ever heard of this? He's walking around with t-shirts like, have you heard of home theater? Brightside Home Theater. Go check it out. And they're like, what? Sir, I'm trying to give you a traffic ticket. But have you heard of home
now
theater?
You've got a restraining order.
Yeah, exactly. All right. John, you want to read this one?
Yeah. YouTube, Stephen Att commented on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 on Kaleidescape. Says, congrats on upcoming number 300. Just came home from Dead Reckoning Part 1. Just as you guys said, 2.5 hours flew by. Going to be a great HT experience. Passed on IMAX this time for Regal's RPX sound system. Did a nice job. Interestingly, they played the same trailer for Oppenheimer we saw last week in IMAX. Much less intense. IMAX was way over the top, or was over the top. So
nice. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Steve. Let's see what can you do? There we go.
Okay.
Steve,
do you want to take this one? Okay, so this one's from Nikhil at Home Cinema Geek, it says here on Twitter, so I'm assuming that's him. And it's entitled Height Effects Tweak for Poor Sods Who Do Not Have Height Speakers. So it says, hi DJ, this could be a tweak for the folks who do not or cannot have height channels, but have 8 Atmos capable back end. John? Nope. Okay. Like me, my Denon AVR has Dolby Atmos virtualization feature, which I would assume most Atmos capable AVRs should have. It's a DSP that uses the bed layer to give a perception of height effects. So the sounds that are designed to be heard from above the listening area should come from above the listening area. This works best if you have the surrounds placed higher than your ear level. Luckily, that's been the case for me right from pre-Atmos days. So anyone who just has 5.1, I'd suggest turning virtualization on and, if possible, raise the height of the surround speakers. To add, for non-Atmos content, I would advise using Dolby's Surround Up Mixer in such setups rather than Neural X. My hypothesis is that virtualization gets engaged with DSU, but not with Neural X. At least in my setup, DSU sounds better in terms of envelopment and spatial effects. I even use DSU with DTS MA soundtracks. Of course, physical height channels are better, but if you can't, then this is the next best thing. Thanks, Nikhil. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. How? Well, see, the way my receiver's set up, if it's a Dolby True HD track, it'll upmix to Dolby Surround. If it's a DTS track, it'll upmix to Neural X, and never the twain shall meet. That's kind of how mine is set up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just figure it was the same. Yeah, an Avantage. I always figured it's just the same thing. It's just a different way of accomplishing exactly the same thing. So I've never really messed around with that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you can force it into one, but does it make a difference?
DTS has a little bit more use of the overhead. The Neural X, it'll push a little bit more. Now, when I say push a little bit more, it's like they run the overheads a little hotter, so you get a little bit more overhead experience. Mine's set up to do up mix properly. I don't push DTS through or Dolby over to DTS. Yeah, quite.
Same as me. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but you can, and I know people have, and they prefer it. This here I thought was really interesting because I'm actually my son-in-law Greg just got a new receiver, and he asked me what he should get, and I this is what I recommended: a receiver that's capable of this because he doesn't have height speakers in his living room. I had bought one. It was a Denon a couple of years ago. It was when I did Rich Keefe's theater, and I never actually used it. And I ended up selling it to him, and he uses it now, and he gets the height effect and without having overhead speakers. And it is pretty good. It's not I wouldn't say you don't need height speakers. If you can have them, get them. But without them, and Nikhil's right, it's like if you raise your rear channels like we used to in the old 5.1 setups, you put your rear channels a little higher to the back, it'll actually move that sound up, and it gives you a pretty good sense of a good upmixing sound for those height channels. And it's a great compromise. So if you're in the market for a 5.1 system, look for that, because they're not all capable of it. So, but yeah, it's pretty good. So great email, Nikhil. Thank you. All right, that will do it. That's the last comment, but I am going to wrap the show up right now with the old kind of like the school closings thing, because I'm going to read through every Patreon supporter and say thank you. So we're going to start with our very first Patreon supporter, and that's Reginald Boyd. And I love talking about this one because he was a Patreon supporter because I literally had just made the Patreon page. And then like the next day, I didn't tell anybody. I didn't know what I was going to do. And next thing I know, I got a Patreon supporter, and I'm like, he just found me. I was like, holy cow. I was like, so thank you, Reginald. I'll always remember that. And then we go from there. We have Elongo, Brad, Paul, Graham, Andrew, Carl Rachichi. Yes, it is Carl Rachichi. And extra special thank you to him because he supports a lot of podcasts, and he had told me that he was only going to support, he had a budget and he was going to support us for a year, and here he still is. And he's been a supporter since March of 2021. I know.
You just reminded him.
Holy crap. Reminded him. Yeah.
Right.
Now we have one less.
Yeah. It's like, oh, wait, he just dropped off. Yeah. So we also have Tom, Vincent, John, David, Matt, Bill, Nathan, Mike, that's Mike Schramm, Mark, Dan, Omar, Peter, John, some John in Texas, I think. Andrea.
That guy, he's going to drop off too.
Yeah, exactly. Andrew, John again, that's John Brockstar, Jason, and Chai City Savage, MR.AA, Brent, and newly Mike Wright. So thank you to everybody. Thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. Really appreciate that. Some of you guys have been here for, a couple of years now. So thank you very much. We really appreciate it. To let you know, I've never taken any money out of my Patreon account yet. Just sits there. So, but yeah, just letting it build up, and we'll see where it goes. So thank you for that. Speaking of money, this month's charity, my son's best friend from college had a little bit of a summertime accident. They were outside and playing cards with his parents and his girlfriend's parents. So 6 of them sitting around playing cards. And they had those, it's kind of a PSA too. They had those mosquito candles with the oil in them. And to keep the you light them, and the oil burns off to keep the mosquitoes away. Well, his girlfriend's mom poured some oil to refill it while they were lit.
Oh.
and the fumes caught. It jumped from one to the other. And I think because of that, maybe some people got scared, but it went all over my son's best friend, Brian. It's like, and he's a cop and he can't work anymore. He can't work for the like couple months. 2nd degree burns over 45% of his body. The shirt he was wearing was like an Under Armour shirt. And instead of just like burning, the thing just melted and went whoosh. So he's like his whole head, but they did a charity event for him to help support him. So we gave our full month away for that, which ended up, because of all the donations from people, like, audio advice, all this, everything coming in, it was like $200 and something. So my hockey team gave money as well. But yeah, so that was this month's charity. And he was immediately in good spirits. He texted Joe and said, check this out. I look like Deadpool. And he sent him, and he did. And he was laughing about it. So, but yeah, so that was this month's charity. I meant to talk about that last week and we didn't get to it. So because of all the great people on Patreon, all the people supporting us, and boxes of popcorn, everything like that, we get to do fun stuff like that and help people, outside of, because, it's not all about the sandbox of home theater. It's All right. Anything else, guys?
No, sir.
Next week, Deed, just
next
for people
week.
to see. Yeah. So what are we doing?
Okay. I have a fantastic episode coming up for Takeover Tuesday. So I don't know. Do I want to talk about Chris Deering? Finally. Chris Deering and I sat down and chatted over 2 hours of a conversation. Absolutely amazing. I mean, we had a blast. So that is coming out on Tuesday. I don't think we're doing a live show next week. I need some time. Steve is off. I am going to probably be putting something else out. I don't know what yet. I may answer some questions. I may do something and then put it out on Friday, but no live show next week. We need the week. So 300 is in the books, boys. 301 is coming up. TBD for 302, but we will definitely be back on live. We will definitely be back live on the 8th. So next week would be Tuesday, August 1st. We will be back live on the 8th.
With my home theater experience of the year so far.
Awesome.
Yeah. I don't know why. I knew that's what you were going to say. I felt like, I don't know. Can't wait to hear about it.
A disc that even puts 300 in the shade.
Oh, come on.
I don't say that lightly. I don't say it
wheelhouse
lightly.
Too. I know you don't. I know you don't. So, all right. Thank you guys. Thank you very much. We wouldn't have been to 300 if it wasn't for you two as well, because it was so busy. I don't know if I would have made it this far, but now the sky's the limit. So it's so much fun. So thank you, everybody watching, listening, participating in the chat and stuff. And we'll be back. But what do we got to do? I don't even know if I'm on the right. There we go.
Go push play.
What he said.
Hey, Fred. This has been a Hey Fred production with theme music by Jeff Bernhardt and Throne Vault Productions.